Hey, good evening, everybody. It's been a hot minute, and I'm gonna get right to it because I'm sure everybody's got stuff to do today. It's Sunday. Y'all saw my post. I'm here today to rank the Halloween franchise with the lovely Destiny from Fear Freaks podcast. And since she's already here, I'm gonna go ahead and add her in here so we can get started because I'm sure she's got more movies to watch. Be watching Fool. She watches more movies than I know. Hello, hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
How's it going?
Good.
Doing okay?
Yes, I'm dropping shit. I'm great. Happy to be here.
I had to, I had to mess with my setup a little bit. We've been messing with this room. It's kind of a junk room, storage room, and it's also where all my shit is.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I had to move some stuff around in order to get where I normally sit.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you there.
It has been a long Sunday. I work third shift, so I haven't slept yet.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So, how
So
long
anyway,
have you been up?
do what?
How long have you been up?
See, I go to work at 10:30 at night, and I get off at 7 in the morning. So I've been up since roughly quarter after 10 yesterday. So
Dang.
usually I get a nap in when I get home from work, but today I had to clean up the house a little bit. My parents were coming over. We were going to breakfast and stuff, so I didn't get my nap in today.
No
I'm
nap.
a little cranky, but not so much now. I was cranky.
Understandably.
I'm a little less cranky now that I get to talk about horror and Halloween. So it's it's been a long time coming. Finally, getting to do something because um our last video didn't happen, but it's okay.
It was my fault. I fell asleep.
Well, it's kind of my fault as well because I kept you waiting.
Yeah, I was on that couch right there, and I said, okay, I have some time. I can just lay here for a little bit. I woke up
Done.
yeah, I woke up. I remember I messaged you. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." Like I was ready and everything, and I fell asleep on the couch.
You know, it's actually okay because I ended up watching some Christmas horror movies that night.
Perfect.
I think I ended up watching Krampus that night. I think because I got the naughty cut that they
Uh,
released. I ended up watching that, and I was like, "Hey, perfect time to watch this."
it
So
worked
no
out.
biggie. Yeah, it did definitely. Watched a movie. I think I watched two movies that night. I don't remember. I know I watched Krampus. That was about it. I see a kitty.
Yeah, anytime I get ready to do something, she wants my attention. It's like I can't do anything. She wants me to hold her.
I see you're busy. Allow me to interrupt.
No, seriously. Every time I sit in this chair, she's like, "All right, I know I'm gonna get some lovin's because I'll just pet her because I'm just sitting here and I don't want her to go crazy, so I'll just love on
Yeah,
her." But,
gotta love the cats.
oh yeah, they're sweet.
Mine Mine just likes to be left alone.
That's how they are like that. I have two. They like to be left alone until they want the attention. Then it's like I am not my own person. I am their slave. But up until then, they're just out doing their own thing, usually sleeping.
Yeah, it sounds about my cat is just gotten he's just old and a cat now, so
Yeah.
he doesn't care anymore.
Mine are still pretty young. We've had them for a little bit over a year, I believe. So they're only about like a year and a couple months old. They're
No,
not too old, so
they're young kitties still.
full of energy. Yeah.
Yeah. I get that. He still has his moments where because he's still pretty he's a lean cat. I mean, he still likes to, get his he has his spasms, we like to call him, where he
Yeah.
just goes batshit for about 10 minutes and then he's done for the day.
That's like my cats, except for, well, my other one. My other one is the spaz cat. He's like in moods, especially like it'll be like an all day sort of thing where he's running back and forth, jumping on everyone, jumping on everything. Like, he's a crackhead. He's a little crackhead cat. I love him to death, but like sometimes, like, dude,
Just
chill out,
chill.
man. Especially when it's like up and down the hall, and he'll be like jumping into my room. I'm like, Thorn, will you sit down for a second, please? It doesn't happen.
Yeah, I get so irritated because he just does this thing where he just meows. Like anytime there's a door, like he goes into this room, if the door's closed, he's just like freaking out because the door's closed. It's like he'll go in, oh, I've been in this room, okay, and then walks back out like no, it was nothing.
Yeah, this morning, because we have like a spare room, which is where my boyfriend has his like desk and stuff, and I've been watching movies in there because our house is so cold, and we have a heater in there,
Oh,
and it's a
nice.
small room. So I've been sitting in there, but with the door closed, so I can keep the heat in.
Yeah,
And all morning, going in and out, in and out, in and out. I'm like, dude, you're letting all the warm air. I was like, either come in here and stay in here and lay down, or go out there and just go play. But it's been all morning. Or they'll fight under the door in the crack, and they'll be like slapping at each other, but it's like hitting the door. And I'm like, I'm focused in on this movie, and they're just banging shit. I'm just like, can y'all stop it? I was like,
I'm
just let
trying
me
to
have my
concentrate.
time. Literally, it was like a serious movie, or it's like getting kind of crazy. I'm like watching it, and I just hear like fighting. Like, I can't. I have nothing to myself, but that's okay because I love them. If they weren't so sweet, it'd be a different story.
Somebody asks, what sleepaway camp is better in your opinion, the second or third? Well, they're both not fantastic, but if I had to pick, I'd say probably the second. Um, I mean, the third one had its moments, but the second one overall, I vaguely remember it. There's these movies you watch. Like I used to watch movies. Like I can't drink and watch movies anymore because then I just zone out and I'm not paying attention at one point. I've had movies I've had to go back and rewatch because I wasn't paying attention. I'm like, I need to stop doing this because I'm missing out on movies. So yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. If
the
we're
second.
keeping score though, the first one is the best. I mean, two and three. I mean, especially because of the actress change and the fact of I don't remember her name. Springsteen, I think was her last name.
Yeah, Pamela.
That's right. Yeah,
Pamela.
and she's not a horror person. She basically like I from my understanding she like writes off that she even did the movies, I guess. So it's like if you that's just the reason not to like the movies in a way, I
Puts
guess.
a sour taste in your mouth. I was saying that before.
Yeah.
Like, when you know the person, not even that they don't like the movie, that they just pretend they're not a part of it. I'm just like,
Mm,
kind of, yeah. But I prefer the second if we're choosing.
yeah.
But the first one is in my top 10 favorite horror movies, so it's kind of hard.
I
I
was
love Melissa
thinking
Rose so much, so
I was thinking that that was one of your favorite movies because I know you always well, I've seen your lists. I think you posted your list of your like. I think there was a list you'd made like films to get to know me by, and that was one of them.
yeah, that was one of them. Yes, I love it a lot. It's like a comfort movie. If I'm
It's
sad, I'll put on Sleepaway Camp.
yeah, it's definitely and that's what's nice about a lot of those films. Most, I mean, that's what I mean. If that's not is that not what horror movies are though? Comfort food. I mean, whether they're good or they're bad, they're still comforting to us horror fans.
Yeah, a lot of times if I'm having like a bad day, I like to put on a horror movie, no matter what it is. I like to put one on because I'm like, wow, at least I'm not being chased by a killer. You know, in
Hmm.
retrospect, my problems aren't that bad because someone's
Yeah,
not trying to kill me. So it puts
like
some stuff into perspective.
yeah. I mean, you have a shitty day at work. You come home and watch something. You're just like, oh, well, I could be having that kind of day, I guess.
Yeah. It could be worse. So I'll take my
Absolutely.
bad day at work.
Prime will
Oh
prove
yeah.
me wrong. Hmm.
That movie was awful. So Brett and I, we have a show Back from the Dead where we'll do like horror anniversaries and like increments of like 5 years. And a new thing that we're trying out is we pick a movie that's like an upcoming anniversary that we're talking about. And if we haven't seen it, we'll pick one for each other. I watched Prima Vol and it was awful. It was terrible. Not in a fun, terrible. I was just like, it's like a crocodile movie and it's like in Africa and it's based off a true story. It was just terrible. It was awful. It was like an hour and a half long, and I swear it took me 3 hours to watch it because I kept pausing it to just like do anything else. It's like I don't want to watch this, but I
I'm just
did.
pushing off watching this, even though I'm still
Yes,
watching it.
I'm still watching it, but I really don't want to. But I did
I'm just
watch it,
trying
and
to
it was just
stomach,
bad. It
stomach
was just not.
finishing this movie. I, you know, I can't. It'd be a bad thing to say. Like it takes a lot for me to like say like, oh, this movie's just god awful. I think the
Yeah.
last time I really watched something that just I'm like, this is a pile of garbage was Jeepers Creepers 3.
Oh God.
Oh my god!
One of the worst movies I think ever.
Like
Period.
I bought it and I literally almost threw it in the garbage. Like, and that's saying a lot because I'm not gonna sit there and just like I'm gonna buy a movie and just throw it away. Like, I bought some bad movies that I don't necessarily care for. That
Yeah.
well, it's bad. I might watch it again someday, but like that movie, like I don't even want to like. There's no chance I'm gonna rewatch that movie.
No.
There is no there's no redeeming qualities in that movie. There's like literally one part that was somewhat cool, and that was the truck. The mechanism with the whole like thing shooting out of it. That was cool, but the rest of it was just poop. Like the ending, like the whole like we know what he is now, and then he just falls to the ground like no. It's like
The fuck?
what? No. And then I'm interested to see what they're doing with this reboot. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it might be decent, but then again, if we're keeping score, the Jeepers Creepers films weren't that good to begin with. Like, I mean, they're good, but they're not like,
Spectacular masterpiece.
yeah, like I like them. Like, let me, like for instance, like Pet Cemetery. Like, it's a good movie. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and shit on Pet Cemetery. It's a good movie, but I wouldn't call it one of my like. For some reason, it's just not a favorite of mine. Like, kind of like Jeepers Creepers. Like, it's not a bad film. It's good, but like, it's not a favorite. Like, I don't know. Just I have weird feelings about it. Kind of like the Halloween franchise, but I love the Halloween franchise. We'll get to that in a minute, though. Everybody's like, let's talk about Halloween. I'm like, well,
Why are we talking about cats?
are we talking about cats and other terrible movies? Well, we'll get to Halloween in a minute. This
Yeah.
is the first time me and Destiny have gotten to talking real, not real, well, I guess real life over the internet. So we're just kind of chit-chatting, people. Relax. We're going to get there.
We're just hanging out.
Yeah, this is kind of what I do. Like when I do my interviews, I kind of like try to make it I like to make it kind of like a relaxed setting because like
Yeah.
you interview somebody who's a professional and you like you want to keep a sense of profession, like profession. I can't even talk today.
Professionalism.
Yeah, professionalism, but you also want to keep it like relaxed. Like you don't want to be too serious. Like you want to have fun. Because you watch these interviews sometimes and it's just like completely like serious and you're just like you almost feel like the person's like uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I definitely like try to like have a sense of like keep the sense of professionalism but also keep it like just kind of like chit-chatting basically, kind of like what we're doing.
Yeah, these are the best ones.
Absolutely. And I'm trying to I'm slowly easing back, and I mean whoever's in the chat knows I got hacked. I don't want to talk about it, but I got hacked. Like people are still asking me on like Twitter and stuff, "Hey, did you get hacked?" I'm like, "Well, yeah. I did." And it's a shitty situation. I still have not heard a damn thing from Instagram. I've reported I've been blocked by my own account. Like they and the funny thing is they're blocking everybody who's calling them out for hacking me, basically.
Yeah.
Like I'm
They
not sure.
I got a message from them the other day sending me something, and I realized it because I had unfollowed your other account for now. Because I was just like, I'll just wait until it gets back. Because like, don't give this person any more than
Yeah,
they're taking. And they messaged me, and I just blocked the account until you get it back. Because I was like, I'm
yeah.
not fucking with you, dude. You're not getting my shit. I'm like, back up.
And it's like it's funny because like I even messaged my account like saying like, so you're just gonna steal my account and then like I get it, like Bitcoin is a thing, like, but literally did you seriously have to like really fuck me over like that? Like I
Yeah.
get it that I fell for I fell for the scam. That it's my own fault. I'll take the, blame because for some stupid reason I fell for it. It was some stupid thing about like, hey, here's 1,000 free ones, and I'm like, this guy seems like the person whose account scammed me was also a hacked account because I actually went and messaged the guy on Facebook and I said, so you're just gonna go and hack me? And he's like, oh, dude, no way. Like I'm hacked. Like my account was hacked. So like it's this whole string of people getting hacked.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm basically taking my experience and saying, hey, like don't fall for it, like because the account who the guy was, it was very convincing. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not something like I would have been like, but I should have seen the red flags. But we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, like I said, I still haven't heard anything from Instagram. I'm literally to the point now where like I just want the account to be taken down at this point. Like I've got this new one. I mean, it's going to be a slow build up, I'm sure, again, because it took forever to get where I was with that one, but it's just like it's so disheartening.
Yeah, I mean, hey, there are. I don't know how like this is probably like sketchy itself, but there are people on Instagram that do that, that get old hacked accounts back. So maybe,
Yeah,
if you're like, maybe, because I mean, if you want it taken down, I mean, what is there to lose at this point? But there are those
true.
accounts that are able to get those accounts back. I don't know what the fuck they do. They have to be some sort of wizard. But there are people that do it because Instagram's is not going to help. They're
No,
not
they
going to do shit.
they clearly are not like, yeah, they're not doing anything. It's funny because like you post anything that says the word hack in it though, and you've got a string of bots trying to get you to
Yeah.
follow some other person to get them to. And it's like that's what, like when you're saying like in itself is sketchy, but trying to find a legit person to do it, like I'm all for it, but I have like I'll probably, that's what I might eventually do, honestly. Like I'll reach out maybe, but I'm still like, but what else? Like, is he gonna hack this account too, or like
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
just it's a crummy
Yeah,
it's a
if
crummy
anything ever
situation.
seems too good to be true,
Yeah,
it probably is. That's me with literally anything. Like, someone can show me a video, like, that's fake. That's not real. Just
yeah.
because I put my walls up so high to where like any sort of anything, I'm like, that's not real. There's no way. It's just not real. Because I rather it not be real and me be right than me be wrong, and then be fucked in the end.
Through that. That's it's funny. Like I'm looking back at this situation. I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? Like I've never been scammed in my life. Like,
Mhm.
but just something about this post seemed legit, and it's just like I don't know why I thought that it just seemed. It was something that was just too good to be true, I guess, and then obviously it wasn't. I don't. I don't know. I'm over it. Like I said, I got this new account. It seems that the people that were avidly following me have followed me back, so thank goodness for that at least. I mean, yeah, I had, almost 2,000 followers at a time, but, those 2,000 followers, I mean, most of them probably still didn't really, like, follow me.
Yeah, like interact and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like for instance, like, I've got people those that actually interact with me are the ones that, like reached out and said, hey, you know, I think you've been hacked. And it's like, oh, well, yeah, like, the bad thing is I already knew. It's like, I
Yeah.
knew when I got hacked, and they're like, hey, you got hacked. And I'm like, well, yeah, I did. Thanks for telling me, but, thanks for
I know.
poking me a little. But,
I just,
it's,
because there's like this thing going around with a bunch of girls I know. It's sort of like the same thing. They're making fake profiles. So someone took my pictures off it, like some of my pictures from Instagram, made a fake profile with almost the same like name as me, and then
yeah,
they're promoting like a fansly or like an OnlyFans or stuff. And I had at least like 30 people message me like, hey, even like after like saying like, hey, report this account. People are like, hey, I think you're hacked. I'm like, I was just
I
keep
totally am.
reporting. I am, and I messaged that person because I have 3 accounts, and I
Yeah,
really only use my horror one, but I have 3 accounts, and I was just like,
yeah.
so I messaged them. I was like, hey, like what the fuck? I was like, what are you doing? And then they tried to change the name a little bit because they were being reported, and I was like, I'm so fucking on to you because I
Yeah,
have 2 separate accounts because they blocked me off of my horror one. It's like I
yeah.
have other accounts. I have eyes everywhere.
I mean, that's not a
Don't do
bad
that.
thing to do. To have multiple accounts in that instance.
Mm-hmm.
To be on the safe side. It's like, hey, I'm clearly me.
Yeah,
Don't fuck
whatever
with
you're
my
clicking on
account.
this link is not me. If you're
Yeah.
seeing some tits, they're not mine, I swear. So it's like, why are you doing that? Don't put my face on that. Come on. It's like, at least give
Somebody,
me money from it if you're going to act like you're me. Like, what am I getting in return?
right?
Nothing. That's not fair.
Somebody on Twitter, I think I made a post on Twitter, like saying, hey, if I think you had retweeted it actually, like saying, hey, if you follow me on Instagram and don't already know, I've been hacked. And somebody commented on it and said, you mean that wasn't your dick? And I said,
No,
afraid not.
I'm afraid not. I'm so sorry to, burst your
Disappoint
bubble.
you.
It wasn't me.
Oh boy, what a world we live in.
I know. Sketchy.
That, like, after that happened, I went to all of my accounts and like changed my password, put on that two-step like
Mm-hmm.
authentication, and I'm like, I ain't fucking around. Like, my accounts are gonna be secure.
Yeah, as soon as it happened to you, I was like, damn, I gotta change mine too. Because I was just like, we message, you can get to them like right there. I was like, I'm changing my shit. I changed my passwords. I added this 2-step verification. I was like, you're not coming for me, dude. Because I was like,
I,
don't you fucking come at me. Because I'm not, no,
I'm
can't do
really
it.
like, I feel like a lot of people after that happened to me were like, that happened to him.
It
Let's
can happen.
probably we should
Literally.
probably do, like, yeah. Oh, I see
Yeah.
your podcast mate is in here.
Hello, Brayden.
We got 9 people watching, and they're probably like, when are we talking about Halloween?
Still
That's the
haven't
theme.
started.
That is the theme of today, but you know, I'm not in a hurry. I'm just cool with chit chatting for now. I have my list, and we'll get there. I think I don't have really much else really to add to that. If you want to go like, so I figured with ranking, we'll probably go from like least favorite to favorite, if that's cool. Like, I mean, because we all know what number one is, or at least I think. I mean, yours might be different. I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll never know. Well, actually, we will know.
At some point, we'll know.
We'll get there. I promise. So, yep, I have my list. I made it the other day. I just kind of went through. I'm like, yeah, that looks about right. The bad thing is, it's like the Halloween franchise is my favorite franchise, but the thing is, like, there are ones that I only like it because it's a Halloween movie, but other than that, it's like I don't like the film itself. It's like if you weren't a Halloween film, I wouldn't like it. Basically, it's like I like it to the extent that hey, there's some good things, but mostly bad. Like, and that's my number 12. I'm gonna go ahead and start. Number 12 is H2O. Uh, the thing is, the first time I watched it, I didn't care for it. And to this day, I still don't care for it. The mask just to me just looks terrible. The movie itself, it had some good kills in it. Like obviously that opening sequence. What was it? Oh, what's his name?
Marion.
Yeah, or not
Oh,
Marion. Well, before Marion, actually, the boys they get the
the
ice
ice
skate to the
skate.
head. That was cool. Like I like that. That kill. It was kind of an off-screen kill. Finally, someone else who doesn't like H2O. Like I don't hate the film. Don't get me wrong. Like I just, it's just so. I get like the concept of her moving and changing her name. Like that's a little more like I'll give it this props because like this is a little more believable than like Halloween 40 where she's like I've been suffering from PTSD for 40 years. Whereas let's escape this problem and move to California and, change my name. That's a little more realistic. I'll give it that. But other than that, H2O is just, I don't know. It's a glorified episode of Dawson's Creek or something like that. I don't know. I'll leave it.
Oh,
I'll leave. Yeah. Let's hear your number. Let's hear your number 12.
my number 12 is Halloween Resurrection. Kind of like you're saying, if this wasn't a Halloween movie, I probably wouldn't like it. Like I can still watch this, like especially because it's, I think it's a bad movie, but it's a fun bad movie. So if I'm ever in the mood
Yeah.
for a fun bad movie, I'll put on Halloween Resurrection. It's not unwatchable for me. I know some people like they won't even watch it. Like I'll watch it. It's just it's not my favorite. Nothing about it is my favorite. It's weak, I think. I don't like the opening. I don't like the characters really. I think the concept is kind of cool, but it doesn't fit that well for a Halloween
Mm-hmm.
movie, in my opinion. If it was like a different slasher, probably wouldn't care. But I don't like it. It's just,
Yeah.
it's dumb, but it's fun. It's a fun
It,
time.
it has its moments. That's yeah, that's my number 11 actually. I the thing with it is like the mask looks a little better at least than the H2O mask. The concept, like you said, I feel like if this movie wasn't a Halloween movie, if it was something else, it actually probably would have been really good. Like if it would have been like, kind of like for instance like Child's Play, the new Child's Play movie. Like
Mm-hmm.
completely off topic, like completely different movie. But if that movie wasn't Child's Play, the remake, obviously, if it was a different toy, but wasn't named Chucky, I feel like that movie would have been like. I mean, I still liked it, but like I feel like it would have been even better received if it was a different toy because the concept of a smart toy going batshit, that's scary because that could really happen. So but going back to Resurrection, like the concept of like the whole like live stream thing at the Myers house, but it's all made up to look like it's some dingy like that's
Mm-hmm.
not how it was, like And then let's not talk about Buster Rhymes. Like you said, this movie's it's kind of a good bad movie if you're in a place to watch a good bad movie. But there are better good bad movies out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, it would have been cool maybe if this was like a Friday the 13th movie and they're sort of doing the same
Yeah.
thing, but they're in the woods. Because I feel like Jason would maybe fit this better because I feel like Halloween is a lot more serious than Friday the 13th. I mean, you see how those movies go. Some of them go crazy. So if they would have done something like that, I wouldn't have minded it being the woods because then I feel like you could set some cool like kills up with the cameras and stuff. But for Halloween and Michael Myers himself, like for me, this just doesn't fit the
Yeah,
tone of the franchise as a whole.
absolutely, like for sure. Yes, I've had people tell me like, "Oh yeah, I love Resurrection." I'm like, "You love Resurrection?" But no, I mean, like, again, it's the Halloween franchise. Like, it's my favorite franchise. I could pick apart all these movies, but I still, they still hold a special place for me just because, you know, Halloween is kind of what really, kick-started my horror like fandom, I guess. So, but yeah, so Resurrection. So I think we're on to your number 11.
Yeah, my number 11, I have Halloween 5. Um, this was one of my favorite movies as a kid. 4 and 5 especially were because I was a young girl watching, like a young final girl, which I thought was just so cool to see, especially in what at the time was my favorite franchise. Halloween now is probably my second favorite just because the
Mm-hmm.
new Scream came out and it
Oh,
kind of bumped Scream back up to the top. So Scream is like my favorite, but like Halloween's like right behind it.
mm-hmm.
But like you're kind of saying, like Halloween really like solidified my love for horror. Before this, it wasn't like my first Halloween movie or anything or like scary movie. But Halloween 4 and 5 especially, I watched them all the time. Anytime they're on like the AMC Fear Fest, I would make sure to like record it on TV so I could like watch them all year. But Halloween 5, I don't think it's necessarily a bad movie. It's rushed and they are
A
kind
little
of
bit,
just setting placements for 6 to follow up with. Like they didn't care what they were putting in.
pretty much.
6 can deal with the rest. But that being said, I think it's still fun. I really like the characters. I love Tina. I know a lot of people don't,
I
but
Yeah.
I love Tina. I thought she was fun. And like growing up, I was like, oh, I wish like, because I'm the oldest of all my siblings. And
Mm-hmm.
like watching this really made me wish like I had an older sibling so I can hang out with their friends, how, Jamie kind of does in this one. But I think it's an interesting movie. The last time I watched it, I tried to watch it more as an Italian horror film. And I feel like
Yeah.
whenever I did that, I was just like, a lot of this, it doesn't look bad. Like a lot of the sequences I thought were great. I love the barn scene. The barn scene's pretty suspenseful and the little kitties.
Oh yeah,
But the
absolutely.
last time I watched it, I was like, I'm going to try to watch this not as a Halloween movie, but as an Italian horror movie. And I feel like it really added something to the experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's a strange movie, but for me it's a good kind of strange. The mask is weird, but I kind of
Yeah,
like that
but
for this movie. If it was a different movie and the mask was in a different one, I'd be like, no. But for it being in this movie, which is also just already so different, I
mhm.
don't mind that. It's weird. And that's something like as a kid, I never focused on the mask or really Michael Myers, period. I was just like, oh, that's Michael Myers. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter who it was. Like, that's Michael Myers. Cool. And I would just watch the movie. But I think this Michael is still pretty scary. The mask is
Mm-hmm.
odd, but I'm into it. And I like Danielle Harris in this one a lot, even though she's mute. She doesn't really talk that much, but I think that really makes it towards the end when she does say Tina's name. It's like, oh, like
Yeah,
that's cute. I wish Rachel was not killed off, especially how she was killed off in the opening. That
yeah.
I'm not the
A
biggest.
little.
I would have liked to see more Rachel, of course, but besides that, I have fun with it.
Are you sure this was your number 11?
Yeah, I know. I love the franchise, and I could say positives about
Yeah.
everything, but there's just
Cause,
other ones that are better.
yeah, that's kind of like with me. Like, I feel like me and you are kind of on the same page with the franchise because it's like we love the movies. Like, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter. Like, I could place these movies wherever. It doesn't matter. I still love them.
yeah,
I just love other ones a little better.
exactly.
Like with my number 10, which I feel like you might be a little disappointed because I feel like I think you like these ones a little more than I do, and that's Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. The bad thing about this is like I liked this movie a lot when I first watched it, but I also didn't watch a whole lot of the originals before I watched this one.
Ooh.
And because honestly, I wasn't a huge horror fan until I was like a senior in high school. I didn't really get into because like growing up, I didn't grow up watching horror movies. Like I was a scared little kid. Let's just put it at that. That's gonna disappoint all 9 people in here. I was not a horror fan growing up. It was kind of an acquired taste because I wasn't, there's people who grew up with people like with their parents. They let them watch horror movies, and I mean, I'm not saying my parents wouldn't have let me watch them, but I didn't want to because like
Mm-hmm.
I was afraid of everything as a kid. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was an overactive imagination, but yeah. So like I kind of watched the remix before I really watched the originals, which is kind of, I mean, it led me to the original. So I mean, I guess that's a thing. But anyway, let's go. Halloween 2, like it. I get like obviously completely different from the original Halloween 2. It's Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, which it's its own entity. Like the whole beginning sequence is actually really, really well done. Like I like how brutal Tyler Mane is as Myers. Like just the whole hospital sequence is just like it's it's good. But then like the whole Laurie Strode becoming this like bitch basically. Like Scout Taylor plays it really well. I'll give her that, but like I just don't like where that character went. Like I don't know. I just like I said, I used to really like this movie, but then there's just some stuff about it that the whole white horse thing just out there. Like Myers is like fueled by his dead mother. I know. One of the things that really bugged me about this movie was the fact that every time Michael killed somebody, you heard him like grunting, like, huh, like he sounded like stinking like he was doing karate or something, and that bugged the piss out of me. I'm like, why? Like he's supposed, like he doesn't. I mean, like he does the breathing and stuff in the originals, like he has that breathing, but like just like the grunting and like it didn't seem right, like to me, and it bugged me. Kind of like in Hollow. Well, no, we'll get to that movie later, but it had some redeeming qualities. Like I said, the kills were really good. Like this movie was brutal. Like the brutality level is up there next to like Halloween Kills, for instance. Like that movie is obviously brutal as hell. But Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, like it's too much of a Rob Zombie movie. That's kind of like how most of his movies are, though. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 right now. Like I enjoy it from time to time, but I also have problems with it, like Loomis, for instance, him being this arrogant prick. I love Malcolm McDowell, but I did not like. I liked Loomis in Rob Zombie's Halloween 1, where he's kind of this hero. He's trying to be this person, kind of how the Loomis in the original is, but still has this arrogant side to him that you can just tell is there. And it obviously really shows in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. And that's not how I see Loomis. Like, I didn't care for that. But yeah, other than that, I think that's really all I'll cover with that because I've got better things to say about other films in this franchise. So what was that
Okay.
number? Oh, no,
10.
10, yes.
It's kind of funny that you said Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is your 10th because my number 10 is actually the original part 2. I don't reach for this movie almost ever. If I want to watch a Halloween movie, I don't put on part 2. For me, on just like a normal day, I think it's a little bit too slow. Lori's put to the sideline, which I don't really like that in this movie, especially because it's only her second one in the franchise. Like, I want to see her doing more. But
Yeah.
that being said, I think it's still a great movie. It's bloodier than the first one, which I like that it adds some more to it. I like Dick Warlock as Michael Myers. I think the mask looks weird on him, even though I know it's the same mask. It just fits his head a little bit weirdly, so it gives some weird eyeball stuff. But I still like it. I think it's still a good time just for me whenever I want to watch a Halloween movie. I think it's just a little bit too slow. But I do think the ending is still great. You get, shot in the eyes and it blows up. It's still a good time once it picks up the pace. I just feel like that whole, like, really the first half, I'm just kind of like there watching it. I like the
Yeah.
hospital setting. It has some great kills. I like the one with the hot tub kill. That one's great. You have some fun characters in this
Mhm.
movie. I really like Jimmy. He's a sweet guy.
Who
He's just
doesn't love
help.
Jimmy?
He wants to help, But besides that, I don't know. And I know this one is like it's a lot of
Some
people
people,
like
it's
up
like,
there. Yeah,
some people is like, this
up
is
there
my
for
number.
them.
Like some people like number two better than the first one. I'm like,
Yeah, it's just
ouch.
not. I don't know. There's just something about it. Even like as a kid, I would watch it. Because I would just watch any Halloween movie that was on. I would watch it, and so I definitely watched it more as a kid than I do now. Because I've kind of like as I've gotten older, I've kind of realized like it's okay to not like certain things, even if you love the franchise. Like that 70s show.
Exactly.
That 70s show is my all-time favorite show. As I've gotten older, I realized it's okay if you don't like the last season or the last two seasons because it's not
Absolutely.
good. But like I would force myself to watch them because I'm like, you love it, so you're gonna watch it. But now I'm like, if I want to turn it off, I can turn it off. If I don't want to reach for a movie in a franchise I love, that's fine. I don't
That's
know why
completely
I'm
fine.
so critical of myself with this, but it's
You
still a
could
good
like,
movie. It's still
you could
great.
like what you, you can like what you want to like and not feel bad about it. That's the glory of being a horror fan. I don't have to, you know, I don't have to. Oh, gosh dang it! I cannot talk today.
You needed that nap.
I did. I tell you what, I needed that nap. I don't have to defend myself. If I love something trashy and ridiculous, like I can't even think of a movie right now, but if I love that movie, it's one of my favorite movies. I don't have to tell you why I love it. I love
Exactly.
it.
Snakes on a Plane. Snakes on
So
a
yeah,
Plane is in my top 10 favorite horror movies.
there's
And I
nothing
don't have
wrong
to
with
tell you
that
why.
movie.
Don't
I'm
have
not
to.
gonna.
Someone the other day was like, I don't even think it's a horror movie. I think it's a thriller. Okay, it can be both. It's like,
It,
it's not, it's like a 2000s die. I don't even know what he said. I was just like, hello, it has snakes, which I'm scared of. It has planes, which I'm scared of. It's
it's
a
horror.
horror movie. That's scary as fuck. Thank you.
Yeah,
I was just like,
snakes on a plane. That's just nightmare fuel.
what do? You're on a plane and there's snakes everywhere. That's scary. I know
I
it's
mean,
I mean, I think it's a good movie. I think bottom line,
it's
I know
fun.
it's a fun movie. You actually have some great characters. You get
Mm-hmm.
some gnarly kills. Great redemption arc in the end. Come on. Lynn Shay, come on. You have Lynn Shay
She
in the
was in
movie.
that movie, wasn't she? I haven't
Yes.
watched that movie since it come out. So like I watched that movie before I was a horror fan, before I knew all these actors.
Uh-huh.
So like I knew Kenan Thompson and
Yeah.
obviously Samuel L. Jackson. And I watched that movie like, not even thinking that it was a horror movie. Like I just watched it because, snakes and planes, that didn't bug me. But like yeah, but it's funny, like I say I didn't grow up watching horror movies, but I would have watched like Jaws and it wouldn't have bugged me because I like sharks. Like to me, like people are like, oh, no thanks, sharks, like sharks in water. But like I love water. Like I grew up, going to well, I mean, I grew up in water because I went to the swimming pool all the time because my mom worked there. It's completely different than going to the ocean, I guess. But like even some people are just scared of the fact that they won't even go to a swimming pool. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
it's
I
like
won't go in the ocean. Okay, sharks are my favorite animals ever. I love sharks. I love bad shark movies. I love Shark Week. I won't go in the water though, because also like one of my biggest fears is being in the water and there being a shark. If I was like
Yeah.
swimming out in the ocean, if I saw a fin, I don't know what I would do. I don't think I would be able to swim. I would just sink
Nope.
to the bottom. Nope, and just go
Hello,
down.
darkness, my old friend.
Yes, hell no. But I love sharks, but not to the like I love swimming. I used to want to be a marine biologist because I love sharks so much. I wanted to study sharks. Like I was obsessed. But I won't go in the water.
My
I'll
favorite
go
hockey
a
team
little
is the
bit.
Sharks.
Yeah. I love sharks. I'll go swimming, but not the ocean. That's a different
Yeah,
story.
like,
Even if it's a lake. Even if it's a lake, I'm like, I don't
still
know.
sketchy.
I've seen Shark Night. That was a lake. It was a saltwater
Shark.
lake. I like that movie a lot. It was a saltwater lake, but still, bull sharks. Bull sharks are fresh water.
Bull Sharks, yep.
Someone can just put one in there. So I won't. If I can't see, I'm not going in.
Yeah, I'm not going
I'm
in.
too scared. Nope.
Like, yeah, we every year, me and my wife, we go with, basically we take like this big family trip where we go down to Florida, Panama City Beach. And I mean, we'll go on the beach and we'll go in the water in that area, like, but we won't go like too far out. But like, we'll go, we rent a pontoon boat and we actually go out in like the, not like the Gulf, like where all like that's the big water. We go
Yeah.
out like on the Bay Area, but we get out in the water, but we get in like the shallow water. Like you can tell, like you can see in the water even when you're swimming, like where it gets deep. And it's like, nope, I'm staying away from there.
Yeah.
Like there was like this little dock that we tied our thing off to, and it's like you could run and like jump in the water. And my wife's like, "Go do that." And I'm like, "Okay." I did, but as soon as I got in the water, my ass was like,
I need the shore. I don't want to be in here.
like, "Why are you freaking out?" I'm like, "You don't know what's in that water."
Exactly. That Jaws definitely put that fear into me, but like I loved it. Jaws is in
Oh,
my top 10 favorite movies of all time. I love Jaws, the entire franchise. Like Halloween, I was either watching a Halloween franchise or a Jaws movie because I love Jaws so much. Um, but I won't. I can't. I remember one time we were at the beach, but it was like kind of like a sectioned off part of it. You know, it wasn't like to me. I wasn't like, oh, this is the ocean. I was just swimming, and I got up to like, I was up to here in the water. And I was like, oh, good thing this isn't like the ocean. I wouldn't be out this far. If someone's like, this is the ocean, I was like,
what?
I'm going back. I had just like so much fear in me. I was like, oh my god, a shark could be right here. It could just eat me. I was like, fuck this. And I swam back. I was like, I'm
Nope.
not fucking with it. So yeah, I'll go like to my knees and that's it.
It was kind of cool. We were actually swimming once, and people sometimes they'll have like little nets out there, like where they're catching like little fish and stuff. Somebody caught a little baby shark, and I'm like, and I saw it too. Like I saw it from a distance, and I saw it. And it was like about that long. I'm like, like that looks
Yeah,
like
lucky
little
what?
it's a little baby shark. I almost got up. I wanted to see it because I haven't really like in person. You go to the aquarium. That's completely different than seeing it like
Right there.
like out in the wild. Like
Yeah.
I would like to see a shark out in the wild, but like on a boat.
I wouldn't even. I won't even get on the boat. I'm like, that motherfucker's gonna eat the boat. I just know it. It's just all these movies have just put so much fear into me. Like one time I was at the beach, I was sitting down, so it was like up to my chest because I was sitting in the water,
Mm-hmm.
and a fin came up, not like right by me, a little bit out, but like a fin came up, and I was just like oh my god, it's just like the movies. So I stood up and I was like backing away watching it, and there was another one that came up, and people were like, "There's a shark." I was like, it's a movie, man. My life is a movie
Stop.
right now. Like, get out of the fucking water. It's just one of those moments. I've always wanted to be one, though, to go and see a shark and scream shark. So I wasn't able to do it. Someone else stole it from me. But I want to do that. I don't want anyone to get hurt. Don't get me wrong. I don't want anyone to be attacked by a shark.
Yeah.
But I would love to have a moment at the beach where you're out there and you see a shark fin come up. And it's just from the movies
Shark!
where you just scream, shark! Get out of the water! But
this is my moment.
this is my
You're
moment.
like,
I've been waiting for this since I was a child.
you're scared
But
to
as soon as
death.
that
You're
fin
like,
came up, I was like, oh my god, I'm in the water. It's like every single shark movie just came rushing to me. I was like, get out. Just get out of the fucking water. It doesn't matter. I was like grabbing onto like my ex-boyfriend's like younger sister. She was out there with me at the time. I just grabbed her by the arm. She's like, "What's going on?" I didn't even say anything. I was just pulling her. I was like, we have to go. We have to get out.
Get out of the water.
I'm saving your life. Come on."
Oh, I do love me some Jaws 3.
I
It's
do
like,
too.
I love like that whole concept of like an under the ocean aquarium. That's cool as hell. Like,
I agree. I don't want to at this point, okay? Before I knew SeaWorld was bad, I wanted to work at SeaWorld because of Jaws 3. Like, I wanted to, like, train dolphins. I wanted just to work at an aquarium. And it was because, especially because of Jaws 3, that was one of my go-tos as a kid. And it's still a fun time now. I'll put it on at any time. I'm just like, this is a fun movie. I don't care. I don't care how ridiculous. I don't care about the stupid 3D moments. I don't care that you can fucking see the green screen getting fucked up when there's that little yellow thing underwater.
yeah.
I don't. It's just a good time.
Yeah, it's another moment of like, I don't have to defend myself for this movie. It's fun.
It's
like
fun. That's
I
all
love,
I need.
especially the end when the sharks, like you could tell how like
when it's just like moving. It's not even swimming. It's just like
yeah,
and it breaks the fucking glass.
It was so good. Like I remember
It's
just
so
seeing
good.
that as a kid, going, "Holy crap, that was awesome!" Like
Or
I
like
was
I
like
love
8 years.
the title card and like the whole opening is like the Jaws 3D. And it's not even coming out. It's just like flat as fuck. But just the way it's like I'm here to have a good time. And Jaws 3 delivers.
It's like you just like you know that this is just cheesy as hell, but it's gonna deliver some good times.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. Like after the first one, that's pretty much all they are, really. Because even I honestly don't even know if I've even watched the second one. Like, I feel like maybe I have, but I don't remember it, and I've definitely not seen the fourth one. And apparently, there's some bastard child fifth one called Cruel Jaws.
Oh, I
and
think
they call it Jaws 5, but it's not Jaws 5, but they call it Cruel Jaws.
I have not seen that one, but I have heard of it, and I want to watch it because sign me up. Shark movie.
I think it's on Tubi. I'm pretty sure it's on Tubi. I've seen the cover of it, and I'm like, this looks like a Walmart Jaws movie.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Jaws 2, it's a lot of fun. I really like Jaws 2, like, probably as much as I like the first one. Jaws 2 just feels like a slasher movie. Because
that's what I hear.
It's a teenage cast, and you're focusing on the teenagers mainly. And
get picked off.
Yes, so it's just like a shark slasher movie because it's just they're all just like pretty much stranded out in the water. It's bigger. There's more kills. It's bloodier, and then Jaws 4. It's not good, but I'll still watch it. It's one of those like if it wasn't a Jaws movie, I wouldn't rewatch it. Because you're still following the Brody family, but in the Bahamas. So it's funny because I think it's Jaws 2, or in Jaws, it's like sharks don't take things personally, or that might be the second one after the first one because they killed the shark. The second one, I think she says, like sharks don't take personally because he's like, well, could this be happening because of the first one, And it's like, no, sharks don't take things personally. But the fourth one, the little like the title, the little thing, it's like this time it's personal. So it's like it's just stupid, but it's fun, and it's like it's kind of nice to have a different the third one you have a different setting. You're not like in Amityville Island, but this one you're in the fucking Bahamas, so you get some really pretty water, and it's a Christmas movie. It doesn't feel like Christmas because they're in the Bahamas, but it is. So it's not good, but I think if you go in knowing it's not good and it's just fun, kind of like 3 is, it'll be fine.
It's called Jaws 4: The Revenge. Like you kind of go in thinking this is probably not going to be high quality, but that's okay.
No, but you still have Ellen Brody. You're mainly following her, so it's kind
Yeah.
of cool to have actual returning cast members. Because the third one, I mean,
There
even
was
in
there
the
was not.
fourth one, no, they're the Brody sons, but they're completely different. And then the fourth one, the sons are recasted again, so you have to get used to more characters being. But you have Jimmy from Part Two, Halloween Part Two.
Uh-huh.
He's in Jaws of
Yes.
Revenge, so there's a Halloween connection.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I think I remember seeing in his filmography that he was in the fourth one. He's in a lot of movies. Like I think he was even in The Last Starfighter, which was directed by Nick Castle.
Boom.
Boom.
Halloween connections.
Halloween connections everywhere. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere, and I love it.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
So I think where were we at? I think I was on my number 9 because I think I covered number 10 was H2O. No, that was last. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 was 10. So moving on to my number 9 is Rob Zombie's Halloween. And you know what? I love Rob Zombie's Halloween. Like it would be higher on the list, but again, there are movies on the list that I like more than Rob Zombie's Halloween. I like that they went like in depth with the whole. It was a new spin, obviously. Like obviously, with the original, like it's left to mystery. This one straight up tells you he had a shitty fucking childhood. Like he grew up with a a mom that had a shitty ass boyfriend with her sister was straight up douche to him. You didn't get that sense in the original because there was that there it was just mystery. That's why the first one is just so iconic because there's just such a mystery to it. And this one just straight up throws these things at you. And that's what's I think a little okay with it because it is a remake. It's a reimagining, and people forget that reimaginings don't have to be a carbon copy of the original. I like that there are a lot of callbacks to the original. You know, there's a lot of great stuff in there, but I did like. Well, I mean, let's just talk about Dag Fark for instance, playing young Michael. Like the kid's creepy as it is, coming off like he's just this sweet innocent little kid. Oh, I didn't kill those people.
Mm-hmm.
Like just the whole thing when the mom, like he asks, "How's everybody at home?" You fucking killed them.
Yeah.
They're great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, yeah. Like, I'm just this sweet, innocent little boy, but that's when you know, like, something's clearly, like, he's bonkers. Like, just, like, the brutality of him killing that bully was awesome. Just, I'm gonna beat the fuck out of you with this freaking, like, and he deserved it, too. I don't even care. I don't even care if you're married to Megan Trainor.
They're married in real life?
Oh, yeah.
The guy from Spy Kids?
Yeah, they're married in real life.
God. I didn't know that.
I think they have a kid, actually. They just
Yeah, because I heard she had a kid, but I didn't know. Wow.
yeah, it's like I followed. Well, I kind of followed both of them. I'm not a huge Megan Trainor fan, but I followed him just because Junie from freaking Spy Kids, and Spy Kids. I loved Spy Kids 3D. Like I saw that in theaters with the 3D glasses, and that was just so cool. Anyway, but yeah, what's his name? And what is his name? Like his name has left me. Like his actual real name.
I have no idea.
I cannot think of it for the life of me. I'm gonna look it up later and be like, ah! Like it's one of those things like when you're I'm at work and I'm thinking of something. I'm like, and you think of something from a movie. And you're like, what is that from? And you sit there thinking about it for like an hour, and you're just like,
Eventually it comes out when you don't need it anymore. You're like, oh,
exactly.
there
like,
it is.
I remember when I was in high school. I was taking a test, completely off subject, but I was taking a test in this class, and there was a question, and it was like it was like an animal, like animal science class or something. The question's like, what is the term for like the mother's first milk for the like newborn calf or something like that. So I have no idea what just happened. That video just completely like ended for no reason. Um, so I don't know what happened. I don't know if the video couldn't have been too long. I've gone like an hour and a half on this thing before, so I don't know what happened. I'm a little angry actually. I don't know if maybe the live had like a error. Well, that was annoying.
Yeah, I was just sitting here. I was like, what do you mean? Thanks for joining. We're not done.
I'm a little frustrated because like it just cut out for no reason. Like I'm sitting here like what happened? Like I've gone like I thought well maybe the video was maybe I was too long or something like that, but I'm like it's not too long. I've gone for like 2 hours on this thing before.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe there was some type of error. Well, that's unfortunate. Oh well. We'll do a recap at the end of this, I guess, since I wasn't because I went to share the video and it said cannot share video because it has to be longer than 1 minute or something like that or something random. I'm like, we've been live for like an hour and 10 minutes. Like
That's weird.
I don't know what happened. Like I said, I'm a little frustrated, but anywho, yeah. I was talking about a test I was taking, but anyway, we'll get past that. We'll get back to the thing before we get cut off again, I guess.
Seriously.
That a little mad. But anyway, yeah, Rob Zombie's Halloween #9. We were talking about the kid from Spy Kids getting killed.
Yeah.
That it was. I mean, it was. You felt a little bad, especially when he hits him in the face and you like see him like like I couldn't imagine being hit in the face with like a sticking log basically.
Yeah.
Ugh. There is definitely like there's a lot of more entertainment, a lot more better quality stuff in this one to me than Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Like this one had obviously it was a little more closer knit with the original. Like it had some stuff that kept true and obviously some stuff that went off the rails a little bit, but it's definitely a fun watch. Like it bugs me that every Rob Zombie film has to be the way it is because of like, he has those characters that he makes that are just hillbilly-ish and you're just like, why does he have to make every movie like this? That's why Lords of Salem is such a good movie. Like everybody hates Lords of Salem because that's not a Rob Zombie movie. It's nothing like any of his other movies. That's why it's so good. Because it's like his masterpiece. But nobody else thinks that. But yeah, I definitely love the casting for Halloween. Like I think they did a really good job. Like I liked Scout more in 1 than I did in 2 because she had that, sense of, like Jamie Lee in the first one where she's like innocent but like still had that side to her where she like wants to like, branch out and be a little more spontaneous and like wild, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that aspect of her. And I definitely like Danielle Harris back in the franchise as Annie. Like, who doesn't love Danielle Harris? So, like, if you don't like Danielle Harris, I mean, fuck's wrong with you? Like, she's so sweet and she's fun too. Like, she's got her own podcast now with Scout. And it's, it's fun to listen to. I guess I listened to like 1 episode and after a while I'm like, okay, I can only listen to so much. Because after a while, they just start, like, getting a little ridiculous, like, just with some of the stuff they talk about. I'm like, but anyway, yeah, I definitely like, because Halloween, the remake, was kind of the first Halloween, like, I recall watching all the way through. And that's what really kind of launched me to go back to the originals. Because I remember seeing bits and pieces of like 4 and 5, like over at friend's house on like AMC during Halloween time. But I didn't. That wasn't when I was interested in watching horror movies. Like I was mostly trying to like avoid them. But yes, I just there's some parts that seem like it was a little like it was a 2 hour movie, so this thing it was a little drawn out at times, especially like this towards the end sequence where like he's basically just pulling like the whole like house apart trying to get to her and stuff, and I'm like, this scene could move along a little quicker. But I mean, overall, it's a well shot film. It again, cast was awesome. The score was really good. Like it had that. I like the reimagining of um, the original theme. How I don't even know who did the theme, but um, they added some little snippets to it and made it unique. And it just like I enjoy listening. Like I actually have the soundtrack at home somewhere, and it actually has like certain tracks from the score. Then it also has like the soundtrack. Like it has like God of Thunder from Kiss, and of course Don't Fear the Reaper and stuff like that. It's got a great soundtrack. That's another thing that I really liked about it. And it really felt like a. It really felt like it looked like the look of it looks like a 70s, like they really captured kind of that 70s look, like outfits and everything and stuff like that. And I thought it, like again, it's not a favorite, but it's definitely not like I don't hate the film, because there's a lot of people out there that hate the Rob Zombie Halloweens, like, and I can understand a little bit, but like just to completely say they're trash, blah blah blah. It's like no, they're not complete garbage. You just like branch out a little bit. Like there's some people that are just stay true to the originals, which I'm one of those people, but I also like change too. It's like look at the Evil Dead series, for instance. You got the Evil Dead and then the Evil Dead reboot, so to speak. That's probably the best remake ever made, in my opinion, just because of how extremely well done it was. But we're not here to talk about the Evil Dead. We're here to talk about Halloween. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, number 9, Rob Zombie's Halloween, and I'll leave it at that before we get kicked off again.
All right, my number 9, I have Halloween 6. I think this is a really fun movie. It definitely feels like Halloween time. Like it really captures that autumn feel, like a cold autumn feel, which I really like. I feel like a lot of these movies, there's really none of them to me that don't feel like Halloween time. They just feel like different versions, like a warm Halloween, like it's just now October, or like this one, I find it to be a lot colder. I really like this Michael Myers. He's pretty brutal.
Yes.
I like the mask. I think the mask looks pretty cool. I like the new characters for the most part. I love Paul Rudd, and it's awesome to have him in a Halloween movie. I like that, we get Loomis again, even if it's for like the last time. It's really
Yeah.
nice to still have him in this franchise. It's kind of a mess, but it's a fun mess, I think. Like, I I don't care that there's two different cuts. I'll watch either of them. I think they're
Yeah.
both fun. It's interesting, it's different, and you're trying to really explore the like mythology of Michael Myers. It really takes away that mystery of him because now it's like in the stars and we have a cult with Michael Myers and stuff. But I don't know. It's just a lot of fun. It's pretty brutal. I like whenever I think of this movie, I just picture the neon green that they use towards the end with like that gooey stuff that's coming out of them, and I don't know. This movie just reminds me of like neon green and blue, neon green and
A
blue,
lot of blues.
a lot of blue, and I really love it. I like the characters. I like the brother and his girlfriend. I like the whole side plot with like the radio guy, and I like that they live in the house and they don't know, and you know, it's a good cast.
It's almost hard to believe that this was made in the 90s, because it actually feels more like an 80s movie.
Except for the soundtrack. The soundtrack's really, really like grunge, I guess.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Which I like it. I like the songs
Yeah,
in the movie too. I really like this movie. It's one of those that if I want to watch a Halloween movie, I'll usually lean towards this one just because it's just an easy watch, I think. It's
yeah,
just
definitely.
it's weird, but it's fun.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of cool that it has two cuts. Like, you can kind of compare and contrast a little bit, kind of like watch maybe a back to back or something like that. I actually no, I probably wouldn't do that just because I don't know. I've watched the theatrical cut and there's just something about it. It's even more of a mess like than the producer's cut. Like the producer's cut kind of cleans up that mess a little bit. Like don't get me wrong, Halloween 6 is a little bit of a mess, but it's a fun mess, like
Mhm.
nonetheless.
Yeah,
But then again, that's a lot of these movies. Like a lot of these movies are a mess, but it's like who cares? They're a Halloween movie. It's not meant to be, you know, it's not meant to be pretty.
yeah.
So what would that leave me? We're at number 8 now. My number 8 is Halloween 2, the original. This movie actually used to be higher up on my list. But that was back before I realized the behind the scenes stuff of Halloween 2, how like Carpenter didn't even want this movie to happen. And I feel like there's two sides of me that like one side of this like doesn't care about that aspect of it, then another side of me is like I can kind of see why he didn't want this movie to be made. So I'm kind of torn between this movie because sometimes I really like it and other times I'm like, oh man, like yeah. But other like I agree with you like when you were talking about it earlier, like it is rather slow at times. You're like, come on. But once it gets going, it is good. There's a lot of great kills in it, like the stinking like I would not want my head dunked in stinking boiling hot water. I can tell you that.
Mm-mm.
That sucks. That would that would not be fun. No. And then the scalpel to the surprise finger in the butt meme.
Yeah,
Ouch. I felt a little sorry for her because she's just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Why did it seem like there was nobody in that hospital though?
yeah. No,
Like
there's like
it
no
was
one.
they had a budget. You could tell that they had a budget because there was literally nobody in that hospital except Lori. There was they just like where's kind of like in the new Scream where there's like nobody like where's the staff? Are they out?
Yeah,
I'm like that's the one thing like I just kind of laughing about. I'm like, is there nobody in this hospital? But then, I mean, there could be a reason why there was nobody there. Like there was that one security guy that got killed. But yeah, Halloween 2, like I agree with you, like where like Laurie Strode really didn't get a chance to kind of, shine in this one like she did in one. Like it was kind of like in Halloween Kills where she's in the hospital the whole time. Or like that's kind of the one thing that was kind of cool about Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, where the whole the beginning sequence where she's only in the hospital for like the first 15 minutes, but it was a dream sequence, and then like flash forward how many like whatever a year or two or what I forget the time frame, but like you were saying, the Halloween 2 has great characters, like the one thing I love about the Halloween franchises it seems like every movie always has great characters. Like you care about some of them, not all of them, but you care about these characters. Like when I'm watching a Friday the 13th movie, like I can't remember their names half the time because I don't care. Like Jason's going to be killing all these characters. Like you don't they're most of the time just counselors or random kids, but there's stories to these characters that you actually kind of like, for instance, um like Jimmy, for instance, like he's just a sweet guy. He obviously ends up living in the end, or like Bud, like you're like, yeah, this guy's gonna get killed because he's a douchebag. And then that girl, because she's associated with Bud, gets killed because she's associated with Bud. That was his name, right? Bud.
Yeah, Bud.
Yeah. I always wanted that coat, one of those Halloween or Haddonfield Memorial coats that Fright Rags released.
Hmm.
But I'm not forking out $100 for a coat.
No, especially something I'm not really gonna wear.
A whole lot.
Kind of
Like
have to have.
I do have, and I got it for Christmas though. I got that varsity like Halloween like coat that came out a couple years ago. It has the 78 right here, and on the back it's got the pumpkin with the knife. I got that for Christmas, and it's the warmest coat I've ever had. It's so nice. I don't wear it too like I try not to wear it too often. Like I wear it for like good, like which sucks because like I really like want to wear it to like when I go to work because I work nights, so that's like when it's the coldest. So like when I get off work at like 7 o'clock in the morning, it's like freezing cold,
Yeah.
and I just wear a hoodie and it's not very warm. But
Mm-mm.
by the time I get out to my car, I'm just taking off anyway because I'm done with the night.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I definitely like watching Halloween. Like when I watched Halloween 2 for the first time, I really, really enjoyed it. Like just like obviously it's a little more brutal. There's the blood aspect of it. I don't like the whole concept of the mask. Like yeah, it looks weird on him because like yeah, it's the same mask because it looks weird because Deborah Hill was a chain smoker and she kept it in her house under her bed or something like that, and it got all ratty and looking. And obviously, I think it fit weird on Dick Warlock's head because his head was slightly
Like,
fatter,
yeah, rounder. And so it
right? Yeah,
stretches
rounder
it out a little bit.
than Nick Castle's. So you can't. That's the thing. Like you can't use like not everybody's going to be able to wear the same mask. It's like if they would have went in and made that same mask the way it looked, but made it a little bigger to fit his face, it might have not looked as weird.
Yeah.
But I still like the mask myself, especially when she shoots the eyes out. It's got the blood coming down. Like, could you imagine getting shot in the eyes? I could not. Nor
No.
would I want. Nor would I want to. Like, ugh. So this is where we find out. Like, this is where Myers was supposed to be at an end. We blew him up basically, but that's not how the cookie crumbled in this series.
No. And I'm glad it didn't. I'm glad
Yeah,
that
like
again.
we'll talk about Season of the Witch later. I surely will. But yeah, Halloween 2, it's definitely it like I said, it used to be one of my favorites, but now not as much, but I still enjoy it from time to time, like especially if I'm doing a marathon, I've got to watch it. I don't always want to, but some days like especially like the one of the biggest things that bugged me the most about this movie is the Alan Howarth's version of the theme. It's almost like it's too upbeat almost to me. Like the original is just so like ominous, and you're just like, God, it's so good. But then like Alan Howarth does this thing, it's like do 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 do, and it's like almost upbeat, like cheery, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, no, no, stop. And it's kind of weird because like he did the scores for like the rest of the like he did the score for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which he kind of redeems himself in the later films where he kind of goes back to how it was. Like somebody saying, "What? I love the H2 theme. I don't hate it. I just don't like how it shouldn't feel like a I don't know. It shouldn't feel like a techno song." But anyway, yes, that's number 8, Halloween 2.
Number 8, I have Halloween Kills, which this has actually moved up a little bit for me because whenever I first walked out of the theater, which this is like my first Halloween movies in the theater, so I was like really excited to finally see it, like on the big screen. And I walked out and I wasn't very happy. I was actually very disappointed, a little bit upset. I never had a reaction to a movie like that, especially one that I was really looking forward to. And I went in, I was like, I'm gonna love this. Like, I love Halloween. I'm gonna love it. And I walked out and I was just like, I don't love it. I don't know how I feel right now. I walked out pretty much speechless, but like in the wrong sort of way.
Yeah.
But since then, I watched it that Thursday in theaters. I woke up the next day and then I watched it on Peacock because I was like, do I like this movie or not? Like, I have to watch it again to figure out how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And it took a couple of times for me to be like, okay, I like it. It gets better with each watch for me. I
Yeah.
just think some of the decisions they made were pretty jarring for the Halloween franchise, and I was just like, where are we? Where are we going with this? What's
Yeah.
happening? And I didn't really like how they treated the returning characters. I felt pretty disappointed in that, especially, Marion just dying like how
She's
she
like,
did.
they almost didn't even need her to be there. Like,
They didn't, and I would have preferred if Marion hadn't came back and you just have Tommy and Lindsay. To me, that already and Lonnie, because
yeah.
I love Lonnie. But
Yeah.
those characters, if they would have just had those and not Marion, I would have felt fine. But what they did with her, I was just like, I don't really like this. But each time I watch it now, I appreciate it a lot more, especially because I know what I'm getting myself into. I enjoy a lot of it a lot better. I think James Hugh Courtney as Michael, I think he's fantastic. He's definitely one of my favorites now. This Halloween 2018, he's great. Don't get me wrong, but this movie really just solidified like, wow, like he plays a really good Michael Myers.
He gets to like really shine and actually do a lot more in this one because
Yeah,
with 18 there's a lot of behind it, like off screen kills, and then with kills he actually just gets to go off the rails and just go batshit, and that's where we get to see him do his work.
yeah, and I honestly I thought it was gonna be gorier than it was. I was like, Halloween Kills is gonna be fucking crazy, and I left. I was like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still pretty bloody, but I was just like,
It
I was expecting
could have been
wild.
bloodier.
Yeah, because like, oh, y'all are hyping it up. Y'all are, has so many kills. And I left. I was just like, it did have like a lot of kills, but I don't know. I was like, oh, I was expecting more from it, but it was still good. Maybe for like an avid moviegoer, it was
Mhm.
probably pretty. But I've seen some fucked up shit at this point, so I was
Yeah.
expecting crazy shit. I was just like, it's still good. Um, it's just the way some of the characters went out. I was just like, oh man, I love Cameron. I'm a big Cameron fan and stan and
We
support.
all know.
I love him, and I knew he was going to die. I knew it was going to happen. It was me just having to prepare myself for it. And when the time came, I just still wasn't ready for it because I feel like his was definitely maybe it was just so drawn out and just over and over and over. And I was like, we get it to just fucking kill him at this
Just
point.
kill
I
him
know what's going to
already.
happen. But I really like that scene, that whole scene from really when they get in the Myers house up until the point where they get back to the Myers house. I really like that. I love, Karen stepping in and how she like takes his mask and like when Allison's screaming like mom because she's like going away and the way that like echoes like I get the chills and I love the payback score. I love that scene when that was happening. I was like, oh my god, like this is what I've been waiting for. Like this whole movie, it's been kind of weird. This is what I was waiting for. I just don't like when they get back to the Myers house and when Michael kills off Karen, how she goes. I was just like,
Yeah.
that's not how I wanted her. I figured she would die in this one. I wanted her to go out fighting and like protecting Allison. Like that's the reason she dies, not the way she goes. That's not how I wanted it. But whatever. I didn't make the movie. Can't get what you want always. But it's
Very
still
true.
down here. But it's still very fresh. And I do find myself like wanting to watch it more. And now I own it. Got the DVD for it. And so I'm excited to like watch it again and again. Even when Braden and I did our drunk watch along, like I was still having fun through all of it. I was still having a good time. So it's definitely, I've come around to it a lot. That first night, I didn't even want to watch a Halloween movie. I was like, fuck this. I don't even want to see Michael Myers. Like, I'm so angry right now just because I was in just such, like, disbelief. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. I went to bed thinking about it. I woke up every hour in the morning, and my first thought was Halloween Kills. And so that's why I had to watch it pretty much as soon as I woke up for the day. I had to put it on because I was like, I just need to watch it again because it was just a lot to take in. But
Yeah.
it's still a good movie. It just has some creative decisions I just don't agree with, and I just feel like don't belong in this franchise. But at the end of the day, stop it with that. That freaking cheat code. Someone else said that with Cameron. Up, down, up, down. I know, and I felt it, and I gagged when he died. It was a very, up until recently, it was a very hard death, but with more recent movies, it definitely takes the cake. For
Especially with, like, when he realizes, like, you can see Michael looking at her and then him and realizing,
and
huh,
you know it's about to happen. Like I was watching, and I was like, just walk down and walk past him. Just walk past him. He stopped. I was like, here it goes. Here it fucking
no.
goes. The last bit. He does that. Oh god. I was like literally in the theater in my mask, and I was like, I was like, I'm about to throw up. I'm about to throw up. And I got home, and I threw up after I got home. Like the movie just like really upset me, and whenever I get upset, I throw up. And so I got home and I just threw up a couple times. I was like, I needed that. I needed to get that out because I'm not okay. But that first time I watched it that night, I was like, I'm not watching this movie again. I woke up the next morning and I had to watch it.
And you watched it again.
And I watched it probably 6 times by now. You know, it's just like something about it. It keeps pulling me back in. It's just some of it's just not my favorite.
Yeah, it's got its problems, but so do most of these movies.
Yeah, exactly. I can't just be so super critical. I guess also because I mean I watched 2018. I didn't watch it in theaters, which I hate myself for not watching it in the theaters. I waited till it came out on Redbox. And even that one, it has problems that I don't like, but it didn't completely like turn me off of the movie. I still liked a lot. This one, just because my expectations were so high, I was so excited. First fucking Halloween movie in theaters. I'm older now, so I can like growing up, I didn't know Halloween 5 was a bad movie. I didn't know
Yeah,
people despise that movie. Like I had no idea. But now that I'm older and I can actually pay attention to characters and writing and direction and stuff like that, I was just like, huh, okay.
huh.
I walked out and I couldn't even talk. Like my friends, they liked it. My boyfriend liked it. Like everyone I went with, they're like, oh, I really like that. I was like, really? But I'm the Halloween fan. They're just there to watch it with me pretty much.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'm the avid fan. So I was the one that was just like, I wish I could feel the excitement that y'all have. I just have to go to the bathroom right now because I think I'm going to throw up.
Yeah, like when I first watched it, I was a little like taken aback. I was like, huh, I'm gonna have to watch this again probably because I just felt like it was just okay.
Yeah.
Like it didn't really. It was just kind of there.
Yeah.
Like, but I'll get to that in a minute because it's somewhere on my list.
It has to be.
So where are we at? Number 7.
Yes.
Number 7 for me is Halloween 4: Return of Michael Myers. Again, this one actually used to be a little higher up on the list, but like it's kind of slowly fallen down a little bit. And my biggest problem with the movie is it just seems short. Like it's like 88 minutes, but it just seems super rushed. But like I still really enjoy this movie, especially the opening sequence. Like you just watch it, it just feels like fall. It feels like Halloween. That mailbox with the little skull thing, and it's just like, oh man, this is gonna be a good movie. Like this is gonna be a Halloween movie. And then we get the mask. Man, that mask looks terrible. Like that's one of the biggest downfalls of this movie is that mask. It just looks so, and the fact that he looks like he's got a stick up his butt half the time.
And
Especially
those shoulder pads.
yeah. I'm wearing hockey pads. Yeah, George P. Wilbur, not the best choice for Myers. Which it does have a really the whole opening sequence with the hospital thing, like with his face wrapped and everything, the whole um, breaking out of the ambulance. It was definitely a really good sequence. Like if they could they could have done more, like just seeing him in the hospital gown and his face wrapped like that. That would have been like even more scary, I think. Like half of the movie where he doesn't even have the Myers mask, he just randomly. But then, of course, they put the hockey pads on him, and he goes around and kills a bunch of people. But I definitely loved. This is where we, are introduced to, Jamie Lloyd, the whole Jamie Lloyd concept, which I love that character. I love Danielle Harris as Jamie Lloyd. I like her character because it's like, especially the end with her, like, that's like one of the biggest, like, I remember watching a video, it was like top 10 WTF moments of a film, and that was one of them. It's just like, holy shit. Like, it's such a good, like, callback to the original, and like just to see that look of terror on Loomis's face. No, no, just yeah, that. And I like Rachel in this one, but like I don't like I'm not the biggest fan of like her character. Like I like when Halloween 5 rolls around and everybody was like, she didn't deserve to die that way, or like I wish she would have lived. I was like, I wasn't as bothered as some people were. It's like, like, I understand why they killed her off early, but like I'm not completely bothered by it. Like it's like whatever. It's like she was gonna die in that movie anyway at some point, I feel. Might as well kill her off early. But some people wouldn't agree with that. But yeah, there's a lot to like about this movie. There's a lot I like it just Halloween 4, 5, and 6, like just I love the whole Thorn trilogy. Like I could watch all three of those back to back and just be like, I'm done for the day. Like it's a good concept. It's kind of a cool, like it takes the whole connection with, well, we don't really, yeah, the whole, one of the scariest moments of that movie is where you see that flash of him in the mirror when she's standing there, and like it just flashes for like a split second, and just like it just throws you off guard because you didn't expect that. That's where I was reading through the comments. Somebody was saying how it was even more blank expression than even like the original, and it kind of is like that. It makes it a little more sinister, but like it still bugs me how like obviously like because it had to be a new mask. Like I guess not the way I think about it now. Obviously, it wasn't gonna be like the original mask because he had to get a new one because the old one probably burned up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like to think that he grabbed the new mask that looked somewhat similar to the original is how did that happen? But yeah, I definitely like the whole. Was everybody getting blown down mine shafts in the 80s?
I
Seemed
wasn't
like that.
alive.
Seemed like that happened a lot in like 80s horror movies. People were getting blown down mine shafts. But yeah, that would that whole ending sequence where she's like he just kind of just laying there, and she's like, oh, but he's my uncle, and like I like he's hurt. And then he gets up, and everybody, that's when they just start basically blowing him away and everything. Yeah, it has some really, like, I thought, well, the way I think about it has some really good kills. It probably has one of the most brutal kills where he takes a shotgun and freaking blows it, like goes through the stinking wall with it.
Mhm.
where he impales. What was it? I think it was the
Kelly.
yeah, yeah. She was the she was the one that wore the cops
Cops
do it
do
by the
it by
book.
the book.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's been a hot minute since I've watched four, so I don't always remember character names, especially like side characters like that. But yeah, that was probably one of my favorite. And then I felt a little bad for Brady, just like how he, like, the whole like breaking his jaw and everything. It's just like, God, like I felt a little bad for him. Yeah, like four, like I said, it used to be higher up on my list, but like since then I've grown to like other movies a little more. I think I'll leave that one there at that because I've got more to say about other films.
All right. My number 7, I have Halloween 3, which I was one of those people that like I didn't watch this movie ever as a kid. I think I had started it one time, realized Michael Myers wasn't really in it, and I was like,
Mhm.
I don't need it then. I want to see Michael Myers. And it wasn't until last year, or maybe even the year before that, I actually sat down and I watched it in its whole, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's a lot of fun. I kind of, now that I've seen it, I'm like, I know it's not a Michael Myers movie, but like I still think it's a good movie. I think it's a lot of fun. It's probably one of the most fun ones out of the whole franchise. Obviously, it feels different, but for me, that's a good different. It
Mhm.
feels like a Halloween time movie. I love Dr. Chalice. Obviously, Tom Atkins, love it. I love everything really about it. It's weird. It's an 80s movie. It feels very much like an 80s movie, but that's what I love about it. And it's become sort of one of my go-tos. Like I watched it on Halloween last year. I watched the original and I think 3 because I didn't have time to watch more, but
Mhm.
I chose to watch 2 and those are the 2 I picked. It's just a fun time. I
Oh,
love the soundtrack. I love the score. I love the characters, really, even the small characters. I like that it really goes for it. It kills a kid, which is
yeah.
like, whoa. And it's pretty, I mean, you don't get to see a lot, but you can kind of imagine what's under that mask at this point. It's just weird. It has snakes and bugs and creepy little crawly things. It's just
Yeah.
so different, but it's a fun sort of different. And I'm not mad that it didn't go in the direction how they wanted to do an anthology because I want more Michael Myers. I'm happy with the way the franchise worked out, but I'm really happy that we got this movie. I obviously, if it was just called Season of the Witch, it would probably be appreciated a lot more by people because it wouldn't be a Halloween movie. But it's different, and I think it's a good different. And I kind of like that you have your first two, and then I like that you have this one, and then the way it brings Michael back with 4 and 5,
Yeah.
especially 4. Like I really like that there's like this pause in the franchise, and you definitely watch it as a standalone. I mean, really, I do. I don't. Whenever I watch this, I don't even consider it to be in the same world. Obviously, they're watching Halloween, so which I think that's pretty fun that they're watching Halloween to really establish, hey, he's in the movie, but he's not going to be in the
Yeah.
movie like how you would imagine. But I mean, honestly, if I was watching this, if this had just came out and I'm going to see, if I saw Halloween Season of the Witch, I think automatically I would have been like, where are they going? What are
Yeah.
they doing? Like, this isn't going to be a Michael Myers movie. I feel like you can tell that just by the title, but I don't know. It's a lot of fun. Hi, Wolfman. But it's just a lot of fun. It's just a good popcorn movie. You don't have to. You can just turn your brain off and just enjoy it. I think it's best if you do that because some stuff might not make a lot of sense. How they
Yeah.
get the stones in there, it's none of your business. Just watch the movie. We
It's
don't need
true.
to know. Just watch it. It was a hard time getting there. Good enough for me. They slightly address it. That's fine. I'm just here to have a good time. And then I like that it ends with you not necessarily knowing what happens. You can only
Yeah.
imagine that a bunch of kids ended up dying. So it goes for it, and I appreciate that, especially in the 80s. I feel like it was still, I mean, it's still taboo today to really kill kids, but we
Yeah,
obviously feel like we've seen it a lot more now. But for it to happen during the 80s, it's pretty cool.
it was. Yeah, you did. It
It
was
had
kind of
balls.
unheard of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they had the balls to do it, and they did it, and
and
I loved it.
pretty epic fashion too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get to Halloween 3. So let's see here. Was that number eight or seven? Six. Am I on six?
Yes.
So I'm on six. Am I?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, that's ironic because my number six is Halloween 6. I'm losing count here. But yeah, Halloween 6, like, like we talked about earlier, it's a mess, but it's a fun mess. And there's a lot going on, like the whole cult thing. It gets a little ridiculous at times. Yeah, like, you're like, wait a second. Michael Myers did what to his niece?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people are like, but we overlook that because it doesn't matter, like, because he's probably, forced to by his cult leader. But we'll overlook that. That's not a big deal. The deal is, like, it's a really fun movie. Like we were talking about earlier, like the cinematography, it looks like a Halloween movie. It's got great, like, it's got, and it, like we're saying, like, it looks like it looks and feels like an 80s movie. Like, it was made in like 95, I think, 95 or 96 when it released.
95.
95, yeah. And
Yeah. Same year as Clueless. That's how I remember. Same year as Clueless, both have Paul Rudd.
yeah, and getting to Paul Rudd, I really like Paul Rudd as Tommy Doyle. Like, he's got that kind of creepy sense to him, but like he's a well-established character because you can tell that he's like kind of haunted by the whole Myers thing, but not to the extreme as Anthony Michael Hall was. Evil dies tonight. Wouldn't you know it? I was at work one night and I was just thinking about that whole scene. I'm like, could you imagine if freaking Boomhauer from King of the Hill was in this movie? Dang, old man, evil dies tonight. God, that would just. There was that one character that was in the background somewhere that was basically the Boomhauer of the town.
Oh, yeah. In that town, you at least have a couple.
Yeah, you'd have to have a couple. I think that's when you realize how small Haddonfield really is. Speaking of like Haddonfield, I loved how this town looked in Halloween 6. Going back to the whole, like, it looked like a Halloween movie. It looked like they shot this film in the fall. It looked great. It had a great score. I liked how I think this is one of the better scores for Alan Howarth anyway when it comes to quality of, because Halloween 5 score was a little messy at times, especially the stalks when the did it, and like I'm sitting here listening to it and I'm like, good lord, he's all over the place with this thing, and at times he's just like off key. I'm like, is he doing this on purpose? Like, what is happening here? It that bugged the piss out of me. I'm like, he's at times just missing notes here. And I think I don't know, but anyway, yeah. The thing that bugged me with Halloween 6 the most was the stones thing at the end, where where he's like he places the stones around Michael and like he's frozen there. He can't like they stopped him somehow. Like, he's this force of nature that got stopped by these stones. And I'm like, but what? Why? But yeah, like, I was so glad. Like, I felt bad for, the mother, because she's the one who gets axed. But I did not feel bad for John. Oh my gosh, that guy was such an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Played so well, Played
Yeah.
a really good asshole, but it's just like, damn, do you have to go that hard? And it's like the only bastard I see in this house is you, and it's like, yeah, fuck that guy. I'm glad he
Yeah.
got killed.
He
I
has no
like the
redeeming qualities, like, at all.
none, none. I liked the little boy. I liked Danny. That was it, Danny. Danny, kill for me. The Man in Black is still such a weird concept. Like, did it really have to be that doctor? It's funny. I watch this movie now, and I go back to Liar Liar, and the movie Liar Liar with Jim Carrey, and that guy plays in that movie. I'm like, oh my gosh, he played in Halloween 6. And it's just like, it's so weird to see these people playing in like comedies where they play these serious roles in these horror movies, and of course, like a lot of these people got their start in horror movies. Like my wife's like, I love Paul Rudd. I'm like, his first movie was a Halloween movie, right? And she goes, you had to say that, didn't you? I'm like,
You're
sorry,
welcome.
you're welcome. I mean, Jennifer Aniston got her start in Leprechaun, for Christ's sake. But yeah, Halloween 6. I really enjoy. I really enjoy that one. Like I said, it's got a lot of great qualities. It's like we keep saying, it's a little bit of a mess. It's a lot of a mess sometimes, but it's a fun mess, and that's why it sits at number 6 for me. I mean, I could like we keep saying, like all these movies could honestly go anywhere on this list, but there's some things about them that we don't like, and there's a lot of things that we do like. I mean, in the end, they're Michael Myers movies.
Number 6. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
My number 6, I have Halloween 2018, which I am a big fan of this movie. This has become one of my like comfort movies now. If I
Mm-hmm.
just need a movie on the background, I'll put on Halloween 2018. I thought it was a great sort of story to bring Michael Myers back. I kind of, I mean, it's when you try to explain the movie to people, it might be a little bit difficult. I mean, you just have to watch the
Yeah.
first one and that's it. Ignore the rest. But watching it like as a fan, I feel like it's really hard for me to ignore the rest. I can't just ignore the rest because I've seen all these movies. I've seen Jamie Lee Curtis as a different Laurie Strode,
Yeah.
and I prefer 2018 or H2O Laurie to 2018. But it's fun. I really like pretty much all the characters. There's really not one character I don't like. I like that we're sort of focused on the teenagers again. I like a lot of the reverse stuff that they do with what you would have seen with Michael and Laurie. You kind of see Laurie taking Michael's place in a lot of those shots. A lot of Easter eggs through the movie, almost too much at sometimes. It's
Yeah.
like almost every frame you're like, oh, that's from this, which it's fine, but it's like
After a while, it's just
I'm
like, really?
starting to just focus on that and not the story itself. They could have dialed it back a little bit. I get what they're trying to do. It's like, look, we're not continuing this, but look, you see the mask from Halloween 3? That's pretty cool. It's cool. We don't need it over and over again, though.
Yeah.
But I like the characters. I kind of like how they get. I like in this one, Michael's not after Laurie. It's more of Laurie is after Michael. I
Yeah.
like how they kind of bring them together because it wasn't Michael. Michael doesn't care. He's just there to kill. He's just out and about. And it's a lot of fun. I like the characters. I love the soundtrack. I think the scores are fantastic. I like that we are focusing on this one with more of the 3 women instead of it just being Lori or just being Allison or Karen. I like that we have like 3 and they're all trying to come together. I love the ending. I think the ending is great, and I really wish I would have saw 2018 in theaters just to experience that with everyone. But I love the ending. I love the whole gotcha. It was a trap.
Yeah.
The way he just stands there. I freaking love that. And so I think it's a really good movie. There's just a couple things I don't like. I don't like Sartain. I don't like the Sartain twist. I think that's the weakest part of the movie for me. You would have just taken that out. Or have him not wear the mask at least. I thought that was just.
Yeah.
I was
Kind of.
like, what the fuck? What
Yeah.
the fuck are we doing? But besides that, besides the Sartain stuff, really, that's like my only downfall of this movie. Besides that, I really enjoy everything else. It just it sits a little bit lower. Plus, it's still a newer movie, and with my other movies, a lot of nostalgia
Hmm.
is like tied to that forever, just
Yeah.
because I was a kid watching these. But it sits there. It's also moved up. It used to be like my number nine, even though I did love it. It was my number nine. But Halloween Kills came out, and it really made me appreciate Halloween 2018 even more than I already did. Especially
Hmm.
because for a while couldn't watch Halloween Kills once it came out, and so I was like, well, I'll just watch 2018. Same characters, same
Yeah.
story, pretty much. It's like, I'll just put this one on. So I do reach for it quite often. I watch it. I mean, during the Halloween week before Kills came out, I'd watch it like 3 times just to put it on, just to watch a Halloween movie. So I
Hmm.
find myself going back to it a lot. At this point, if I want to watch a Halloween movie, it is 2018. Yeah, I really enjoy it. Love Michael Myers in it. Think he's great. A lot of the kills are off screen, but you still get to see the aftermath, which I think is still pretty cool. Um,
Effective.
it is effective, and I kind of like how at the end they all come together the way they do.
Hmm.
I don't like the whole scene with Allison with the mannequins though. That was
Yeah, that was a little
another part. I'm
like,
just like, that's a that feels more at home in Halloween Kills. That feels just
yeah,
overly dramatic, which would have fit better in Halloween Kills. This one, I feel like it's really not dramatic, really, but I like it. It's good. It sits
yeah,
at the middle, but it's still a really fun time. Lori in this one, not my favorite. I think they might have went a little too over
over
the
the
top
top.
with how she was written. But really, the Sartain twist is the only true negative I have with the movie.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt with that one as well. With Sartain, just something about him just bugged me. Like, he's the new Loomis. I'm like, don't compare him to Loomis.
Yeah, don't say that.
Do not. How
My
dare
Loomis
you
could
stand
never.
where he stands?
Yeah, no.
So number five for me is Halloween Kills, and I'm like you. The first time I watched the film, I was a little taken aback. Like, I didn't know. The bad thing about watching a lot of movies for me is, like, a lot of the times I have to process that. Like, processing a movie is a lot sometimes, especially when it's something you're really looking forward to seeing, and like, you don't know how you feel about it, so you have to go back and rewatch it again to get a real good like feel for, like, you see stuff that you may have missed the first time you watched it and stuff like that. And that's kind of how Halloween Kills was for me. Like, there's a lot. It's kind of a mess at times. There's a lot of like stuff. It's like, we get it. Like, did you like the evil, like, oh, evil dies tonight? Let's talk about that for a second. Like, we get it.
Hmm.
But do we have every character have to say that like 50 times? Like, let's wait a second. Did I say that evil dies tonight? Yes, okay.
Hmm.
Like, before anybody leaves the room, evil dies tonight. Remember that.
Did you
Like,
say it? Yes or no?
did he like I felt like at one point Tommy went to leave a room and almost
He
forgot to
like
say it. He's like,
he like
wait a
does like
second.
a stutter step and like turns around for a second and then keeps walking. Just like, I don't think that was supposed to happen. That felt weird.
Yeah, I did not really care a whole lot for Anthony Michael Hall in this one. Like, I prefer Paul Rudd as Tommy Doyle. Like, I would have actually really liked to see Paul Rudd back as Tommy Doyle, but that obviously wasn't going to happen. But yeah, like, this had, talk about just music for a second. Probably the best score, one of the best, like, literally probably the top 3 or 4 scores in the entire franchise. Like, this film had, like, take 2018 score and just amplify it like twofold. It was, I'm mad at myself for not owning it yet. Like, I don't, I have 18 on vinyl and CD actually,
Mm-hmm.
and I still don't have Kills on vinyl. And I think the score for Kills is better than 18. Like, this is where like Carpenter and his son are just at the man. I hope that's not a Charlie horse. Hold on a second. I've been sitting too long.
I know my legs are hurting. I keep having to like reposition myself.
Sorry, everybody. I'm having a mental break. Oh my gosh. Okay, I think we're good. Ow. Oh. Okay. Okay, we're done there. I get every once in a while I'll be laying in bed and I'll wake up and I get them laying in bed like the most, and they're like, my wife's like, "You're such a pussy." I'm like, they are extremely painful. Like, I'm sitting here like trying to like keep my legs straight so I don't like make it worse.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where it is right now, but I think it's okay. I think it's just because I've been sitting. I'm literally sitting on like a little stool.
Oh
Probably
yeah.
not the best thing to be sitting on for this long.
No.
But we're getting there. We're almost done. Yeah, moving moving back to Halloween Kills. The bet, like, this is the most brutal Michael's been, obviously, since Rob Zombie's films, and I just love that we get to see just this is his movie. Like with Halloween 18, I felt like it was more Laurie's film, like very story driven, very much her film. With this one, this is Michael's turn, basically. This is him getting his revenge, so to speak. And the one thing I just like the firefighters, what set that thing to come up is what bugs me. Like, what triggered that door to raise up to release him? Because you don't see anything happen. That door just randomly just comes up. I'm just wondering if maybe it was that firefighter's like alarm thing on his thing that maybe triggered something to lift that up. I don't know. That's just one thing. I'm like, how did he get out? Like, what caused that door to come up? But just when that comes up and you see him and you're just like, oh shit. And then the music starts playing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, like they couldn't have made that like that was just perfect. And they just beat like you almost feel bad. I mean, you do feel bad for these firefighters, but like it just looks so good. So, and I love watching the behind the scenes with James Jude Courtney doing this scene, like the choreography and everything. Mm-hmm. It's just so good. Like, and I love this is where David Gordon Green does some really cool tricks where you get to see it from their point of view. Like when he gets the guy in the face mask and it breaks through and you see it from their point of view. And it's just like, damn. The guy getting lifted up off the ground and just thrown, and he just throws it down. And it's just like, God, he is brutal. But one of my favorite kills is probably, and I feel so bad for the lady, Shonda, with the stinking light just right in the neck.
Yeah.
And I watched the making of that scene, and it was really cool how they did that. Like, they said it was actually kind of complicated, like, having to put they had to put like a tube through like the light actually when it get through, and it was really Chris Nelson just does some amazing work when it comes to makeup effects and special effects makeup and all that stuff, especially like that scene, the poor guy jumping out of the window. God, I feel like that scene was just, and this is where we go back to, remember, like the scene in the original where he's like, no, don't tell him he's here. If you tell him he's here, they're going to see him on every street corner You're going to cause chaos, basically, and then that's what happens. You say Michael's here. It don't matter if they think it's Michael or not. They're just going to go after him, and that's what happens with the other inmate. It's like they don't know that it's not Michael, but the other people that know that it's not Michael. I mean, obviously they're not going to listen to him, and that's where you kind of like Karen trying to help him. Like you feel terrible for this character because some. All right. I apologize for that again, everybody. We had some issues with the live. For some reason, it's cutting it off at an hour, so we got that figured out at least. So we're continuing on the ranking. We're gonna move things along a little bit. So we were. I'm terribly sorry.
It's okay.
I don't like it. I checked the videos and I noticed that they were all like an hour long, and I'm like, okay, so they're cutting off at an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So that's weird. So maybe, like you said, maybe it's a follower thing. Because I remember before when I was doing lives, I mean, I was going for an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, and it wasn't cutting off. So maybe it is a follower thing. I don't know. That's weird.
I think it is because before, if you didn't have 1,000 followers, you weren't even able to go live. But they had changed something to where, like, another thing was you couldn't put links in your stories, so you couldn't swipe up, Yeah. And they had changed that to where you don't have to have 1,000 to do that. So that might have been a part of it too, to where they were able, like, more people are able to go live, but it might be like if you don't have 1,000, then it cuts off at
it's a
hour.
limit. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the first time I went live on here by myself, I thought it was an hour. So I was just talking, and then I went up to like 2.5 hours because it didn't cut me off. Yeah, and so I got off because it's like, I guess it just keeps on going. But
that makes sense, I guess. I guess I'll have to get my followers back up. Or get my damn account back.
Yeah, one or the other.
Yeah. Again, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. I'm like sitting here like, what is going on? Like, we've been talking long enough. I'm like, she's probably done hearing me talk.
No, you're good.
I did happen. I was looking at stuff while we were off, and I'm like, oh, cool. Thank goodness. Because I was afraid that like we lost all that stuff. Like, cause, there's a lot of stuff we talked about. I'm like, we just lost all that. But luckily, there's an archive. So I was able to go ahead and post that already. So there's a part 1, a part 2, and then this will be part 3. This is this has become a long video. But that is a-okay. I mean, I will say it's been a pleasure getting to chat with you. Just talking, whether it's been about Halloween or just about Jaws.
About Jaws and cats.
Exactly. I mean, it's been fun. I mean, I'm glad we got to do this finally. But we left off at Halloween Kills.
That was your number
5.
Number 5. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll just leave it at that was my 5. I mean, I enjoyed a lot about it. There were some things that were a little messy about it, but I'll leave it at that because I think I said most everything I was going to say about it in the last video anyway. So we'll move along with your number 5.
Okay. My number 5, I have Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I love this movie. I like that it's different. It's definitely not your typical Halloween movie, but I like that. I like that the characters go in complete different directions than they had before. I really buy into this Laurie Strode and Scout Taylor Compton and how she's really struggling with everything. And it's a really interesting take on a final girl. Like what happens after what happens, basically. It's a different take on a final girl struggling with what had happened before. She's very angry and she lashes out, and we don't usually get to see that in a final girl. And I really like that. And I know a lot of people, it's not your typical Laurie Strode, but it's not going to be. And to me, if that's what you like, there's plenty of other movies for you to watch if you like your
Absolutely.
typical Laurie Strode. But she's angry and she's mad, and I don't blame her. That's pretty fucked up. And then she finds out that she is Michael Myers' sister, and basically her whole life has been a lie. Like, I believe she's angry, and I really like that they show a different side of PTSD with these sort of situations. I
Yeah.
like that she's estranged with Annie. I like that, when she says that Annie is a constant reminder of what happened. Because, like, I believe that, and I feel like I've related to stuff like that. There are things that are just triggers for you that take you back to a spot that you don't want to be in, and unfortunately, it's her best friend.
Yeah.
And so I like that they have a complicated relationship. And Annie's death scene, that's so
Oh yeah.
hard. It's so, besides Cameron, and I'll definitely give it to Daniel Harris, this is, for me, the hardest death of the entire franchise. Because not only are we used to Annie, Daniel Harris, but then they showed those clips of young Daniel Harris to where automatically you think
Yeah.
Halloween 4 and 5, and Rob Zombie did that on purpose. He wanted young videos, a young VHS copy of her to really play into those emotions, and I feel like he really used that to his advantage because that's such a hard scene. Brad Dourif's reaction is heartbreaking. I like Laurie's new friends. I forget their names,
Yeah.
but
The
you
wild one.
have, yes, they're crazy and they're fun, and they're contrast of how not reserved Laurie is, but like how put off she is and how she's just in
Yeah.
her own world, but they're a complete different fun, go, blah, blah, blah. Especially the one that dresses up as Dr. Frankenfurter. I
Yeah.
don't know her name, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
She's the one that was a little wild
She's
and out there.
crazy. She says, "What's up, Dickalickas?" And that
Yeah.
stuck with me ever since I watched this as a kid. I was like, I like this girl. She's wild. Because I'm not a wild person, so it's kind of fun to watch his characters. But I really like the cast. I like that Dr. Loomis is a dick because, yeah, he's not the Dr. Loomis we know and love, but I feel like Rob Zombie was definitely, he was making not his own movie. He still had issues trying to make this movie, but
Yeah.
he got to do more of what he wanted. The White Horse, I know it puts up everyone off because it is weird. It's so weird, but because it is in this movie, I forgive it because there's a lot of fucking crazy shit happening. I like that this Michael Myers isn't your typical Michael Myers, even compared to the Rob Zombie's first one. He's already so much different, and I like that. This one makes him feel a lot more human, because with these Michael
Yeah.
Myers, I don't feel, besides the White Horse, which I think that's more of a psychosis thing. I don't think they're necessarily actually right there. But besides that, he's very much human. He's walking around. He's eating dogs, which he's done before. Maybe
Yeah.
he got
We
hungry.
think.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like abnormal in that sense, but I really like that this is just such a different Halloween movie. I think it's beautifully shot. There's a lot of great cinematography. It's very dark, and I have to be in a mood to watch this one. I have
Yeah.
to be in a dark mood. I can't just. This isn't like a Halloween movie. If I want to watch a Halloween movie, I'm probably not reaching for this one because I just have to be in a certain space to watch this.
It's definitely a completely different entity compared to all the other Halloween
Mm-hmm.
films because a lot of the other Halloween films you watch them and it's like, oh yeah, it's a Halloween film, this is but then watching something like that one, it is a lot you know darker. It plays on a lot more you know different emotions than some of the latter ones and what
Mm-hmm.
have you. And like now that you're bringing up a lot of this other stuff and I'm thinking about it, it's like there is a lot of good in the film. Like there's a lot of, like you said, like some of the ways some of the stuff was shot, some of the characters, and yeah, like, and then the stinking Richard Brake gets his head cut off.
Yeah, yeah, and I hadn't seen him in anything before that. I mean, I don't even know what his first movie was or anything. But it was really fun to see. Being younger, when this one came out, I would have been like 10. No. Well, it's
It's
'09.
2009.
I was born in '98. So I was like 11, 12 when this came out. there's a lot of these characters I'm not very familiar with besides what I'm watching. I didn't know that was Daniel Harris until like I got older and I had a phone and I was like on the internet and I was like looking up other movies that they were in and I realized that was Jamie.
That was who
And
it was. Yeah.
yeah, just like that moment of being like, oh my god, like I had no idea because before this, I hadn't really kept up with Daniel Harris's other movies or anything like that because I was a kid. Like I wasn't like I have to know everything. But whenever I figured that out, I was like, that even makes me like love it even
What?
more because I was just like, wow, how did I think whenever I had watched it, I think I had watched because I don't know if both cuts play that the old footage of her. I'm not sure if the
Yeah, I
theatrical
think
one
that's
does.
the. I think that's the uncut
The
version.
yeah, and I had watched the theatrical, so I didn't even get that part. So if I would have saw that, I would have recognized like, oh my god, it's Jamie Lloyd. But not
Yeah,
knowing that and then finding out after the fact, I was like, wow, that's really cool. Rob Zombie is a very specific type of director. He is not for everyone. I'm a big
that's
fan of
true.
his. I love all of his movies, but
Yeah,
what he was able to do with the movies, it's different. And at this point, I kind of want to see different. And I like this movie because it has its fans, and that can go for any of these movies. These movies are very usually pretty different from each other, but I
hmm
like that we get variety because you're able to please almost everyone out there. With at least one of these movies, someone's bound to like at least one of them.
exactly.
I really,
That's what.
I really enjoy it. It's dark. It's gross. It's favorite neck and horror. I hate you, Chad. He's bringing up Cameron from earlier,
Oh
but
gosh.
he does that all the time. But it's nasty. It's dirty. It feels very just grimy, and it reminds me a lot of like how you're saying the first one has like a 70s feel, which it does. It definitely does. This one feels more like a grindhouse sort of like just
Yeah,
gross feeling. But
you
I
feel
like that.
dirty after watching it.
Yeah, you don't feel like whenever I watch it, it ends. It's like I feel everything but nothing at the same time. Like
Yeah,
it leaves me empty, but not in a bad way. It doesn't mean like I'm not leaving this wanting more. I'm leaving it being like, wow. It doesn't
I'm
always
done for
work
the
out
day.
happily. Exactly. She's like, I need to go to bed. It
Yeah,
just leaves me with a different feeling than any other of the Halloween movies, which I really appreciate. It really
yeah,
enacts on all sorts of emotions throughout this movie. You get
it's def-
frustrated. You
yeah,
get sad.
it's one of those films that you definitely have to be in a certain, like you were saying, you have to be in a certain mood to watch that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not something that you can just be like, hey, let's watch Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 just for the shit of it.
No.
It's like you have to be like, I feel like I feel like going to bed after watching this.
Yeah.
I feel like feeling a certain way.
I feel like not talking to people for 3 hours after I finish this movie.
I'm
I
usually
feel like
okay
just
with
like
that.
sitting and just really thinking.
Yeah, it's definitely a thinker. Like it. Fun fact about this, because this came out 2009, so I would have been a senior in high school. I actually did. I was a writer for our school newspaper and actually wrote a review for this movie. And I was surprised that the person my it was my English teacher said, "Yeah, print that." Like his name was actually Mike Myers. So he's like, I was surprised that they let me print it because I mean, it's an R-rated movie.
Yeah.
It's a school. I mean, we got kids in there, freshmen or what, 15, 16 years old, so maybe they're not, but yeah, they let me print it and everything. And that was back, when I really I still really really like the movie, but I don't have an as big of an appreciation for it as I do now because of the franchise and how much I love the other films more. But I still like the film from time to time. I just doesn't feel the same way watching it now that I've seen all the other ones. But yeah, I remember making a post about it. I'm like, I remember like he's like, you got to make a disclaimer though. Like, make sure like you got to make sure your parents allow you to watch it because it's a school newspaper. I remember I was in middle school, and it's kind of funny that we come back to this whole like me doing reviews and like writing and stuff. It's like, was this something I was meant to do at like? Because I was always writing like reviews and what was coming out and stuff. Even when I was in middle school, I got pulled into the principal's office for just saying that like because I would write like what like album releases were coming out. And I was writing about Blink 182. And I was like, Blink 182's greatest hits is coming out. And I got pulled into the office. I was like, well, we can't be having you like write about this in a middle school newspaper because they have like really gross lyrics, like, and some of these songs talk about suicide. And I'm like, well, they don't have to listen to those songs.
Yeah.
And it's like, those songs aren't even on this album.
Like, how do you know that, huh? How do you know?
Did you listen to it?
You listen to it here? It's not loud.
You listen to it in this building?
Get
You're
out.
a hypocrite. You liked it, don't you?
Tell me you love it.
You love it. All right. So we're back to, so that was four,
Five.
five. Okay. We'll move it along because I don't want to get cut off again.
Yeah.
My number, that still bugs me. But anyway, my number 4 is actually Halloween 5. And a lot of people are probably going to be like, what? I'm not going to defend myself because I love Halloween 5. There's just something about this movie. Like, I get it. A lot of people are like, that mask is trash. It kind of is. It's weird. I don't understand how his hair grew in the time going down the mine shaft and into Halloween 5, but I don't care because that scene is awesome, actually. Like, I couldn't imagine having to wear that mask going down the river. Like, Don Shanks is a champ for that. Don Shanks is probably one of my favorite Myers, actually. There's a sense of brutality. Because obviously the movie's the revenge of Michael Myers, so there's a lot of pent-up rage to begin with for Michael. And I feel like this movie had a lot of great kills. Like, when he kills Mike in the body shop with that, whatever the crap that tool was, where he just...
A garden hoe. I don't know if that's what it's called.
It was like a 3-pronged, yeah.
A little raker. I don't know.
Yeah, it was something. I'm like, why was that even in the auto body shop? It looks like a sticking garden tool. But yeah, like that, and like how he killed the scythe kill with poor Tam Glenn, her character, Sammy, and like you were saying earlier, I love Tina. Mm-hmm. I don't give a shit what people say. Like, Tina's like, oh, she's so annoying. I'm like, and so was Spence, and Spence was annoying, but he was still funny. It's called comic relief, people. Like,
yeah. I never had a problem with Tina.
I never had, yeah. I thought Wendy Kaplan was great. I actually hope to interview her one of these days. I think I messaged her on Instagram once, and I asked her about interviewing her sometime, and she said she'd love to. So that'll be fun. And one of the biggest, like, it's just so weird because like the Myers house is like this fucking big mansion,
like a Victorian style.
Yeah, like I was watching like a segment on 5, and people were like, this movie went full on giallo, like Italian giallo film, and it kind of is. Yeah. And that's what kind of makes it really unique. Like, it's totally different than 4. It's definitely one of the most, it was literally filmed by an Italian director.
Exactly.
The guy's name was like something Gerard something, Dominique Othen Gerard, something like that. I don't remember, but he had a very unique eccentric name. And I actually watched this movie with commentary once, and it was actually really cool to hear him speak and talk about the film. Like, this guy had nothing. Like, you got to people are like, why is this film so... The guy had nothing to go off of, almost. Like, he was making a sequel to a film that he had watched, but he basically, like, it was his take on a sequel to 4. And yeah, like, there was a lot of stuff that was weird with it, but I didn't care about it. The one thing that I find hilarious is Myers sitting in the stinking um,
The jail cell
jail cell with the mask on
in
still.
his handcuffs,
He's just like,
sitting there, head down.
yeah, it's like, I'm sorry.
um, I messed up. He
I,
looks like a
I
kid
did
in trouble.
I did a bad thing.
I killed some
But this
people.
this movie definitely advertises safe sex at least.
Gotta have that.
Spence, oh, coming in hot with the safe sex. I loved Tamara Glenn. I thought at least she tried to like kind of like fight off Michael, but then got the scythe to the body or wherever she got. That's one of my favorite kills because you don't really get to see it, but just that swing and then you see the blood spatter. And you're just like,
Mm-hmm.
yes. That's probably like I said. This one has a lot of my favorite kills in it. Again, Don Shanks is a brutal Myers. Um, this is when like Loomis is becoming unhinged. So it's kind of cool to see his drastic like falling back, like falling into madness, like it's just it's like I said, a lot of people don't like Five at all, but for some reason it just I really like it, and I mean people are like, how is that your number four? And I'm like, it just is. I mean, I have the 4K right here, and it is stinking. I love this cover. It is pretty, and it's got the Doctor Death like extra scenes and everything, so it's really cool. This is definitely the copy to have. But yeah, I love and I also really love the cover, even though it's totally misleading with the mask. But I love just it's such a cool. It's a really cool. It's a good cover. Very misleading, but of course, so is Halloween Fours.
Yeah.
But yeah, Halloween 5 is my number four.
Okay. My number four, I have Rob Zombie's Halloween, the first one. I love this movie. And I mean, this is coming from someone who, like, I grew up with the Halloween franchise. I watched them religiously, basically. And so when this one came out, like, I can kind of remember actually being excited because this one came out. I would have been like 8 or 9, maybe. So I was pretty young, but I was really
2007.
excited for it. Um, and this was one of my dad's favorite movies before he passed away. He was a big Halloween franchise person. Like he loved, which is like he helped me really like get into the Halloween franchise. So I remember watching this one for the first time. Like I remember exactly where I was and everything, and I loved it. And anytime I would go to his house, we would watch either Rob Zombie's Halloween or the second one. So that's also why
Mm-hmm.
the second one. They just have a special place in my heart because I got to watch him with him. He loved him. He had the Rob Zombie like the NECA figure, like the like 2 foot or not the 2 foot, but like the 14 inch or something, like one of the big ones. He
Yeah.
had that, and like my
Oh
sister had
man.
that one. Yeah, he had those, and I loved like playing with them. I thought they were so cool. But this one just I love it. I like that it's trashy. I come from a family where some of us are white trash, and I embrace that. So I like these movies. I like that it goes for the trashy side because like growing up and like watching like oh I can kind of relate. I can see myself in this movie, which is why like Rob Zombie's movies have never bothered me with how trashy they are. Cause I'm like oh I can see myself in this in a way. But watching it, I loved it. I love Scout Taylor Compton as Lori. I prefer this version of Lori compared to the original 78 Lori, just because I feel like Scout Taylor Compton's Lori, I relate to her so much more, to where she's sort of like the shyish one of the group, but she still has a side of her, like you're saying. She's not completely like straight edge. She has a
Mm-hmm.
fun side to her. I love this friend group so much. I prefer the friend group as a whole compared to the original. Just because
Yeah.
I feel like these characters, but also, you know, I didn't grow up in the 70s. I'm not sure how people were. They could have been like that. But this group of friends reminds me so much of my friends, how we're playfully, calling each other a slut or a bitch. Like, my friends and I talk like that. So when I watched this, I was like, those are me and my friends. We are like this. And I appreciate that. I feel like Rob Zombie really got the cast right with these three girls and their interactions themselves, or even like after like Linda's kind of like upset that Andy called her a slut, even though she was just joking around, but she kind of takes it personally. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
that's us. And so I love it. I like that whole first sort of half of the movie to where it's different, and then once he gets out of the hospital, that's kind of where your real remake of the Halloween movies begins, which I love it. I love Tyler Mane. Tyler Mane's my favorite Michael Myers. He's awesome. And I love the look of him. I love how it's dirty and it's grimy. And I feel like this movie kind of fixes a little bit of issues I have in the original. Like, I like that they kind of do the setup, not exactly different, but it is different to where, you have Linda and her boyfriend actually at the Myers house. Like, I really like that. So, like, to me, that just makes more sense. How do we get back there? So I
Yeah.
really enjoyed that part. I feel like the ending is great. I love Scout Taylor Compton so much, and Danielle Harris, and Christina Cleave. She's awesome in it too. But
Absolutely.
there's just everything about this movie. Like, I I don't have an issue with it. I guess the only issue I really have in this whole movie would be in the unrated scene, or the unrated cut you get, or the director's cut. You get there's a rape scene in it,
Yeah.
which
That
is
just
totally
uncalled.
unnecessary.
Yeah.
I don't. That's like the only issue I have, because that's just not. It wasn't needed. It's
Like,
not that kind of movie. I
yeah.
prefer how he gets out in the theatrical cut. Plus, you get Bill Moseley in the
Yeah.
theatrical cut. Who doesn't
True.
want Bill Moseley? Hello. So besides that one part, if he wouldn't have done that and just kept to that at the theatrical, how he escapes, I love. Besides that, I love everything about it. I just
Yeah, I totally agree with that. The theatrical version is totally, it's even like it's a lot more brutal too. Like the him just casually just walking out of the room, just, and he kills the guy, just slamming his head against the, like that wasn't as effective to me as just taking the chains and just tearing people up with them. It's just like that was awesome. Just, yeah, the rape like the rape scene was just unnecessary. It was just, yeah.
it did not need to be there at all.
It's
And
not.
that's the one thing I will truly knock it for, is that just it wasn't needed. You
Yeah,
usually don't need them in movies unless it's that kind of
that
movie.
kind of
I
movie.
understand if it's like a rape revenge movie. Okay, that's kind of
This isn't I. This isn't I spit on your grave.
no. It was just because I remember. I think the first time I had watched it, I think I might have watched the theatrical, and then whenever I watched the other version, I was just like, oh, okay. Don't remember this, but I didn't understand there were different versions.
Weird flex, but okay.
Yeah, and like right now I only have the director's cut, and so like one day it was like in October, and we had friends over, and I was like watching it, and I was like, oh god,
That was
like
that scene.
y'all, I was like looking at them, and I was like, I'm sorry, sorry, I couldn't even
Sorry,
fast forward it either. I was like, I don't know what to do, but
my remote's
besides
not
that,
working.
yeah, I don't know, just look away. Besides that one scene, and also the guy in that scene, the one, can't, I don't think he's the one that's like doing it, but he's still there. He's in my favorite episode of Criminal Minds, and honestly, it's
Well,
kind
that
of
was
hard.
one of them was Courtney Gaines, and then the other one was Lee. Oh,
It's the one that was walking with Danny Trejo
the one that's like a real
first place.
prick.
Yes, the one that,
Yeah,
yeah,
Lee.
it's
Lee.
that's him. Yeah,
He was in. He was in. Well, he's in a lot of Rob Zombie's movies. He plays the one boyfriend in Devil's Rejects that gets his face cut
yeah,
off.
yep. He's in my favorite episode of Criminal Minds, and it's kind of hard to watch him in anything else for me. And I don't want to do that because, like, I know that's not him.
He
But, like,
didn't. I think
watching him in anything, I'm just like,
he
just
said he hated filming that scene.
don't blame him.
Yeah,
I just, it's gross. It's nasty.
yeah.
Wasn't needed.
Oh, Halloween's not one of those movies.
No, it just felt out of place, even for like a Rob Zombie movie. Which I mean, that Devil's Rejects has stuff like that in it, especially in the hotel scene. But still,
But that's, I
it
mean, that's
wasn't.
that's that
It
kind of movie.
fits. Yeah, it fits. Unfortunately, that that
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
Never really want it, but still, like, I don't know. But besides that one part, I love it. I love the movie. I love the characters. I love the casting. I love the new group of girls. I love the way it looks. I don't mind the opening. I don't mind the white trash. I don't mind the backstory. Like, I really do love Rob Zombie's Halloween. And it's unfortunate that a lot of people hate it, especially just because, like, I don't get like offended if people don't like something. I don't give a shit. If you like it or don't like
Yeah.
it, I don't give a fuck. But just because it does have such a like special place in my heart with my dad, and seeing everyone shit on it all the time, I'm just like, okay, that's fine. It's fine, but it
Yeah.
still hurts me a little bit. I know my dad
That's
loved
the
it though, so whatever.
that's the problem with the problem with the Halloween franchise, like fandom, is there's such a side to it that it's just so toxic.
Yeah, toxic
They're
fandom.
toxic fandom. These are the people that think it's the best thing since sliced bread. I'm sorry to tell you people, Halloween's not the best thing since sliced bread. It is
Even the
my favorite
original,
movie.
yeah, even
Yeah,
the original, it has faults. It has
yeah,
faults, and it's okay to admit it has faults. You
yeah,
could still think
exactly.
it's a
Like,
perfect movie. Like, I still think, I mean, I don't think it's perfect. You can still think it's perfect and recognize those faults and not give a shit. That's kind of how I
exactly.
am with it. Like, I don't care that it's kind of weird in some spots. I don't care that there's awkward scenes in the original. But, like, the way some people react about them, I'm just like I'm in a group on Facebook called
Killer
Halloween
flicks.
Fans.
Oh,
No, Killer Flakes. Everyone else, everyone there, I've not seen. I mean, I see the Halloween posts, but Halloween Fans, that group that I'm in,
I think I'm in that as well.
some of them are just so egregious,
Ridiculous.
and I'm just like, dude, like, calm down. It's like people are like attacking each other. I'm like,
That's
at the end
not
of the day, it's not that
fandom.
serious. Like, I love movies. I love movies. It's like my number one passion. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. You know,
Yeah,
it's not worth it. So I've seen them, seen a lot of them, and I
yeah.
don't even really post on that group anymore just because I don't want to deal with it.
It's that's what it makes us Halloween fans that are, you know, genuine look bad because we know that Halloween's a great film. It's one of the best films ever made, but there are far better films out there than Halloween. There are far better horror films out there than Halloween. I mean, you know, and I it's very like I'd say this like Halloween is definitely the most divisive franchise out there when it comes to people like horror fans, I should say. Like you either you appreciate the movies for what they are, you love them, you know that they have faults. Then you have this side over here that think there's nothing wrong with these films. These are the best thing that's ever been made. There are no other horror films out there.
There's people like I'll see someone post about Halloween 3 in the group, and people are like calling this person like stupid for liking a
Yeah,
shitty movie, and I'm just like, dude, that's not okay.
those
It's okay
are
if you don't like it. It's okay. But don't be a dick about it.
yeah. It's like
Just don't be a dick.
we're all here for the same reason.
Yeah, we're in this group obviously because we like Halloween. So let's calm down. It's
Well, it's
okay
not
if you
like
don't like some movies, and it's okay if you prefer other movies. but it's not okay to attack other people because they like the
Because
movie.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm getting at. It's like, okay, we get it. You like this movie more than this movie, but that doesn't mean, you know, it's just so annoying.
It is annoying, and it does kind of. It's like Halloween, my first slash second favorite. It's this and Scream. These are like my all time favorites.
Yeah,
But the way some people react, I'm just like, wow. Which is why I think a certain movie that had recently just came out, it's gonna live on forever. Scream 5. It's gonna live on forever. Give it a few years, and people are like, you know what? They are on to something there because
I
I think
honestly,
they were. I feel like they are because I see it every day with my own eyes. I'm just like, it's there. It's
oh
there.
yeah, I think Scream 4 wasn't that well received at first, but like now people are like Scream
Now
4.
it was ahead of its time. It
Yeah, it
really
really
was
was.
in that way with their motive. It was ahead of its time, and that's going to live on forever. I
Yeah,
think over time, it's just going to be like more like, wow, because we see that now that with social media and how everyone wants to be famous
yeah,
without necessarily doing the work to become famous. I would whenever I walked out of Screen 5, I was like, this is definitely going to be one of those movies that people are going to look back in like 10 years and be like, you know what? I think they got it right because I think they did. I liked the motive. I liked that all. I knew some people wouldn't, and I knew a lot of those people that didn't. It's probably because you're them, like. And that's why
yeah,
I tried to like calm down. Like Halloween Kills, it did make me upset, but not to the point to where I was like, "Fuck this fucking stupid ass movie." I was just like, I just need to take a step back away from the Halloween movies for a second and just
yeah,
chill out because it's not that serious. We still got a Halloween movie in theaters. We got to fucking actually see it
yeah.
because we're in COVID and stuff. It's like we actually got to see a movie, and I'm grateful for the fact that I got to see a Halloween movie in theaters at the end of the day.
Exactly.
I don't know. Some people just you got to just step back, man.
People just need to enjoy movies and quit being so like. Some people are just like saying like Halloween Kills was a big like dumpster fire of a movie. It's like, calm down there, Grandma.
At least
Halloween,
appreciate like what was good about it.
yeah,
Like I saw someone give Scream 5 a 0 out of 10. I was just like, I'm not going to take you seriously. If
no,
you can't point out
you're
one
not a
thing
movie
about this
person.
movie, come on now.
Let me guess, your favorite movie's Love Actually.
Love Actually. If I can say at least one thing is good about Jeepers Creepers 3, you can say something's good about Scream 5 because
Exactly.
two different ball fields.
That's a completely different. Yeah. Anyway, moving along. Number 3 for me is Halloween 18. This movie, it holds a special place for me. It was the first Halloween film I got to see in theaters, actually, and it was born. It was released like the week after my daughter was born, so it's kind of cool because like Halloween 18, um, my daughter was born, and then Halloween Kills came out last year, and my son was born. So like
That's awesome.
every year now we need to have a kid this year apparently no. But yeah, Halloween 18, it was such a I loved this movie when I saw it in theaters, and I still love it. Like, yeah, it still has some issues with it, like, the whole Sartain thing, but I just there's so much good about it. Like, I just love that opening sequence where, you know, Aaron's holding the mask. Like, this is probably one of my favorite, and like going to the credit roll, just the whole him saying "say something," and then it just cuts right to the do 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 do, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like that was so
Amazing.
intense. Oh my god, like just the intensity of that scene, just like the suspense is killing me. I hope it'll last.
Yeah.
Just to quote Willy Wonka. But yeah, it's just so good. But like, I get where a lot of people are like, this Lori is a little over the top because it is. I mean, but in a way, I think it was meant to be because this is kind of her movie. This is her, like, coming to grips with the fact that, yeah, she's had a lot of PTSD. it gets a little ridiculous at times because, you know, it's not very realistic. But then again, you look over that past that, it is a movie, and like realistically, no, I don't think somebody would be that like after 40 years of something happening. Yes, it's drastic, it's crazy that something like that happened, but like to be that like obsessed after 40 years, it doesn't seem realistic. But then again, it's a movie. But I kind of look past that because there's a lot to there's a lot to see in this movie. Like Michael coming back, the breakout scene from the trailer, or not the trailer, the bus. Um, but going back to Lori for instance, like seeing her early on in the movie, seeing her like trauma, and that whole scene where the bus takes off and you see her in the car just like freaking out, and then her screaming, and you see the silhouette right there, and it's like that scene. There's just a lot of intense scenes in this movie that just kind of grab you, and you're just like, man, there's a lot. Like just it keeps you on the edge of your seat, and I think that's what I love about it. And it's kind of, and it feels a lot like the original, like where it has a lot of left to the imagine, like with the kills and stuff that we don't get to see. It's left to the imagination, kind of like how some of the stuff in the original was. Like, we don't get to really see. We see like the whole him stabbing Judith, but we don't really get to see it because it's through a mask, like the eye holes of a mask. But hearing like some of the kills, like when he kills the woman in the kitchen, like he fucks her up.
Yeah.
You don't have to see it to know that she's freaking dead. But probably one of my favorite kills is in this movie is when he just walks so casually up behind the woman, just shanks her right in the throat. Like that was just intense because you see him walk along the house in the window, and then just casually just comes up, and then I love this series so far because it does have great characters, kind of like in the original. Like you feel for these characters, like Allison. I really like Allison. She kind of has a sense of, she's a little like Lori back when she was a kid, but still has that sense to her. Like she still kind of has a wild side that hasn't really come out yet. And I feel this is where it kind of sucks that Vicky gets killed off because she was a really good character, and I feel like she was like a strong, I really liked her. She kind of had that Linda vibe, but still had a little bit of Annie too. She was kind of a mashup character, I felt. And like, she was the wild one, but still had a good sense to her.
Yeah.
Like she was a good person, but had the wild side. She was a good babysitter. And you felt bad because it's like, and then of course you feel a little bad for Dave too, because I mean, he's just kind of there.
And then he gets killed.
He gets killed. He gets shanked in the throat. That I mean, I would have liked to have seen that kill on screen.
Yeah.
That is a death I would have liked to see. That was brutal. And but like you were saying, like the one thing that just bugs me the most is the Sartain factor, and I'm glad he ends up getting killed. Just the freaking face stomp, man. It's like, ow. But yeah, there's a lot of great stuff to this movie, and again, like I said, it holds kind of a special place for me just because that was the year my daughter was born, and it was the first movie I had to see in theaters, and it was such a good experience. I watched it twice in theaters, so I mean, a lot of people have a lot of problems with it. The mask is seriously just staring at me right now, and it was one of the first. No, it wasn't the first. I actually have a. Speaking of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, this mask, sorry, this looks like crap because it's been laying around for years, but I actually have it's got the blood, and the hair's all matted and stuff. I've had this thing for probably 12 years. But yeah, it's been through a lot. It's part of the collection. And I got the Halloween 18 mask, and then of course my kills. I This thing is like nice. Like this is one of the like I always am really sketchy about getting like ordering masks because you never
Yeah.
know. Like it's sometimes you don't know if you're going to get a good one or if you're going to get one that's kind of like a little meh. But this one, I've lucked out with both of these masks. Like my 18 masks, like is one of the like even Christopher Nelson looked at it and goes, "Wow, that's one of the good ones." So it was cool to hear that. The mask, one of the best masks in the franchise too. The newest, the 18 mask, and then of course with the wear and tear of the kills mask. It just it's got such a good look to it, and it's very good. And, yeah. So 2018 Halloween number 3.
All right. My number 3 is Halloween H2O. I love this movie. This was one of my favorites
No
growing up.
judgment.
One of my favorites. Can you blame me though? I love Scream. It's not surprising for me that I love this movie. It's very much inspired by Scream, but this being my two favorite franchises, I don't care. I love I love it. I love that they're watching Scream too. That to me, that was everything. I thought that was amazing. I love it. I love the characters. I love the new setting. I love John Tate. I love him. I love his girlfriend. I love the friends. I love the whole idea of it's basically just them, 4, 5, 6, 7 people on this whole like campus. And I really like that because it feels more isolated. You don't have a whole town around you. We don't know what's around besides this. It's probably like this in a town further down. It feels like there's so much more like secluded. Hi, Chase. But it feels secluded. It feels like a Scream movie, but I love it. This isn't my favorite Michael Myers. I don't like the mask, but growing up, I didn't care about the mask. I didn't know there was a CGI mask until like 2 years ago. I had no idea, which is pretty bizarre because you look at it, you can definitely tell now. But
Oh
before
yeah.
I knew that, I didn't care. I didn't care how Michael looked. Looking now at it, not my favorite. Not my favorite look. Not my favorite Michael Myers. But Chris Rand, he's great. He's really nice. Um, so I like him a lot as a person. But it's just like a lot of fun. It's a really easy Halloween watch. This is one of those I can just have on in the background. I know exactly what's going on because I've seen this movie so many freaking times. This was my second favorite up until about last year. I changed it, but my number 3. There's really nothing about this movie that I don't like besides the look of Michael Myers, I guess. But I love Laurie Strode in this. This is my favorite Laurie Strode that we've gotten. Well, Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie Strode. This is my favorite. I feel like it's the most realistic, and I like that we still get
Yeah.
to see she's still struggling even after all this time, and she's trying to put it aside. And that scene whenever they're at the window or like the door and you see
Hmm.
Michael and Laurie and they're looking at each other, I absolutely love that. I think that's fantastic, and I think
That is a good scene.
this is probably one of my favorite. Oh, hold on, I'll be right back. I'm coming. Hold on. Anyways,
Oh,
this is probably my favorite Halloween ending. And I mean, I wish this was the ending for this. I wish, maybe Resurrection didn't come after this, just because I feel like this ending is so strong.
yeah.
But I don't know. I love it. I think it's a lot of fun. I understand why people don't like it, because it is a different feeling Halloween movie. Like, it doesn't necessarily feel like a Halloween movie, I guess. But me being such a big fan of Scream, I don't mind it at all. Because to me, this is like the best of both worlds.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said, no judgment. I mean, like I said, I don't hate the film. It's definitely not a favorite of mine, and a lot of people seem to really like it. I mean, that's for them to enjoy.
It's very much like a teen sort of movie. Because it is,
Yeah.
inspired by the Scream movies. But it feels much like a teen. It feels safe. It feels like a safe sort of slasher, but sometimes that's what I need.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so number two. So what haven't I named here? My number two is Halloween 3. And a lot of people are like, what? Halloween 3, I understand a lot of people don't like it because, it's not, here's the thing. If we had advertisement like we did today, this film would definitely have been better received, I feel. If people would have went in knowing for a fact that Michael Myers was not in this film, they would have been like, okay, I'll check it out. Was not well received, obviously, but it has become this film to me is a Halloween film. This is the most Halloween film of the entire franchise. I mean, literally, they say Samhain correctly. That's the big brownie points
They
for me
do.
because I'm a huge, people say Sam Hain, and I'm like, it's Samhain. Watch Trick or Treat. No, I'm very much like, as I love the lore of Halloween, like,
Mm-hmm.
the history and everything, and I love that was oh, um are you kidding me? Like, my favorite film of the whole franchise, I can't think of his name. Not Cochran. That was his whole like thing, was like, sacrifices, and like to play this giant prank on kids, to be in, like, that's the most sinister thing, like, to think this is the most sinister film in the franchise, because, like, yeah, sure, a man, Michael Myers going around killing people with a knife is scary, but like this guy targeting kids just cuz, basically, to sacrifice them, like, that's scary.
Mm-hmm.
That's sinister. That is, and then he plays it so well because he seems like such a kind gentleman, and like, the whole concept of, it's bizarre, the whole, taking bits of Stonehenge and put it in this computer chip to make it, this commercial to activate it. That's just, it's crazy, but it's so unique. It just makes it so fun in a weird way. And I love the masks. Like, the masks are so likable because it's just like, those are like your Halloween masks, like back in the 80s, or, what have you. They're just fun. Like, this is, I mean, the fact that this is a thing is crazy. Like, this is one of my like, I literally jumped out of my skin when I saw this at Target. I was like, oh my God, I've been looking for this forever. Like, it's such, I wish people, like, and I'll be the one first to admit, when I first watched it, I was like, okay, but I kind of knew Michael wasn't going to be in it. I knew that it was going to be something different. I didn't care for it when I first saw it, but then I went back in with a different state of mind, watched it as its own standalone, and thinking, yeah, it's really good. Like, it's bizarre. It's a Halloween film, and of course Tom Atkins is, it's Tom Atkins, like, stinking the Bruce Willis of horror, and he just plays such a, in a way, he's like just a really shitty father, but like he's like trying at least. But like, he plays such a good character in everything he's in, and he just, it's just the the score. I mean, Alan Howarth, of course, he's had his moments, but and I think John Carpenter even, helped out with the score. He helped him, and Deborah Hill helped produce the film, and Tommy Lee Wallace, god damn, like, he did such a good job with, like, the filming. I mean, the cinematography is just so good. Like, I just love how secluded this town feels. It's so, like, it's definitely like, it's like this factory town, as they call it, but it's just there's something so ominous about this small town. And there's just so much I love about this film. And I wish there are a lot out there that appreciate the film, and a lot of people that haven't taken the time to try to appreciate it, I feel. in a manner of speaking. But to me, like Halloween 3 is very misunderstood, and I feel like I'm glad that it's finally gotten its well-deserved appreciation 40 years later. Because I mean, it's the 40th anniversary this year, so I'm really excited for that. That's my number two.
Okay, number two. My number two is Halloween 4. Like
Mm,
I said
okay.
earlier, this was one of my go-tos as a kid. I love it so much. I love Danielle Harris. I love A Young Final Girl. Really, that really resonated a lot with me whenever I was a little girl. So I always like looked up to like Jamie Lloyd. Like I loved her. I love, we get Michael Myers back. I like how they kind of introduce it. I like that we have more family ties since they decided to go out with two. I'm kind of happy that they kept that going with this. We get to see, or we learn, Lori had died, whatever. Now she's an orphan, and so she's off with her foster family. And I really like Rachel. I kind of like that she goes through this of not really wanting. It's like Jamie Lloyd. She's like being put onto her. Like she wants to do her own thing, but then at the end, like she's doing everything she can to save Jamie.
Hmm.
I love it. I love that whole pretty much from the part where they're on the truck toward to the end of the movie.
It is a good ending.
It's a very good ending. It is a very shocking ending. It's not really at all where I thought that would have gone. I didn't expect to see Jamie Lloyd at the end after she stabs her foster mom, like at
Yeah.
all. And I'm glad that they did that because it's besides H2O, this is probably my favorite ending just because it's so shocking. I like how you're saying how they do the whole callback to the original, where you put
Hmm.
on a mask and you're watching it and you don't know who this is. You're probably
Who
thinking
is?
like
Yeah.
it's probably Michael Myers again. And then when they do the reveal of her just standing there with the scissors, it's so good.
Whoa! Whoa!
Even every time I watch, I'm like, wow, like they really nailed it. And
Yeah.
everything like that, like Daniel Harris had to go to as a kid, like the whole part on top of the house, like that was real.
Oh
They were
yeah.
really on that house. Like Ellie Cornell, like cut up her like got cut from a nail, went to
Yeah.
the hospital and then came back. Like they really went through a lot doing this, especially Daniel Harris being like 10 years old at the time. Would not happen today. That would not
No.
be allowed. But the stuff that she had to go through, like you can really like I buy into it. A lot of time kid actors they can be very hit or miss, but for me like there's not one scene with Daniel Harris that I don't buy into. Even the part when she's getting bullying and she's like, "You're okay, you're okay." You can see she's having like a panic attack
Yeah.
and trying to calm herself
Very
down.
well acted.
She is so good in this. It is like watching it's like, wow, she freaking nailed it. For being so young, she killed it.
Yeah.
I love it. There's really nothing about this movie that I don't like. I love the characters. I love that opening credit scene. I love the bandage Michael Myers. I think it's awesome we get to see him without his usual mask on for a little bit, but you still don't get to see his face, which I really appreciate. I love the movie. It's one. If I want to watch a Halloween movie, I'll usually stick to 2018. But if it's not 2018, it's most likely going to be Halloween 4.
Well said. I mean, like I said, I enjoy four. I still enjoy four. Yeah, it's a little lower on my list, but I still enjoy it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I feel kind of like about five as you do about four in a way. But I think we can both go at the same time on this one because I mean, number one is number one.
Halloween.
Halloween, John Carpenter's
Which,
immortal classic. Like, I mean, what can we say about this film that hasn't already been said? You know,
honestly.
yeah, I don't feel like we have to go too into it because I feel like I'm about to get cut off again. I'm afraid I'm going to get cut off again.
Yeah, probably. I've been
So,
trying to keep up with the time.
but yeah, we all know that Halloween is the best of the franchise. I mean, yes, there are some little bit of there's some flaws with it. It's not a perfect film, but it is it is the original. It is the classic, and it will live on forever. It will. Like, there's no doubt about it.
No, what they were able to accomplish with what little they had. This,
Exactly.
like, to me, this movie is like, it's lightning in a bottle. They got
Yeah.
the mask perfect just with a fucking Shatner mask and painted it.
Flipped it,
They,
and then yeah,
and we see that they're not able to like fully replicate. I mean, we get 2018 and it's different, but it's the same, but it's different, you know. But like before
yeah,
2018, before Rob Zombie, like those other 7 movies that we get, well, 6 technically, not counting 3, but you know, like they were not able to like perfect that mask by doing something just so simple. Like no matter what they did, they couldn't get that mask right because they nailed it. They ended up getting a